tremble at the thought of what I've become. That sorry, proud image in puddles leaves me crying rivers. These tender words are muted by the stench of life long before they could ever reach your ears. You relate to mere echoes of what never stops but in my mind. Entrails of truth left to scatter at the feet of humanity. Plain sight leaves sour taste in this parched mouth. Remain stricken with doubt as I exchange pounds with those who remind me what I was and confine me to chains with my blood. Shake this feeling, warm grotesque physical whose voice provokes wonderment. Smooth violet light briefly eases the horrid sounds from belly of mechanical beasts, and that itself is extinguished as will be my voice, I suppose. From the silence arose a wail of freedom through violence. Am I permitted to vent thoughts recited a million times before? Fluid drenched, I eavesdrop onto middle America. Same concerns as my youth for blood, and yet I have to sit alone. The odd loud screech may have startled a few from this middle poor Americana dream. The rest only to sleep. My speech the soundtrack to their nightmares. Moonlight once again burns my image once again a million times into a million minds through crust-caked eyes who only pray to die once again. To my sickness, vivid view of nothing was ever here. Witness the subtle shifting of troubled souls towards a new mark in this wet sand. Enjoy the bland, mundane circumstance that led us to this staring match. Breathe deep within my own collapse.
To make the mic like a flammable torch. It's understandable. My mind is a mechanical force, and I'm a cannibal. My mandible is chewing your corpse. I'm tyrannical, a vandal of intangible sorts. Not a mineral, a mammal, or an animal. I'm metaphysical, the syllables and critical rhymes. Flows blowing off your limbs like invisible mines. Been invincible with rhymes since the biblical times. A warlord with a sword from the Mongol horde. Speak the tongue of the Lord to bless my vocal cords. They tried to resurrect hip-hop, but faith is gone. So I take it over by force, I Genghis Khan. If you say it ain't wrong, you better pray to Allah. Cause I got an arrow that'll travel straight through the jaw. Got breath control, flow like a ship with a sail. Divine when I spit, like if I sip from the grail. Cause I'm immortal. Sleeping by the third rail where the A train runs. My brain strains to lift freight trains from off the ground. When I'm walking around, I'm the talk of the town. Cause I harness mental power scientists don't understand. So I'm on the low, hiding from the average man. In a bad savage land, I'm rocking a gas mask with black gaps attached to snaps on backpacks. to easily grip. When frequency blips alert me to intruders in the sewers where I secretly sit, fine-tuning my rhymes until I got the hottest style. The rest of the mics from mutated crocodiles that slipped into the pipes sometime in '88. Now they taste nuclear waste that makes them radiate. I'm subterranean and melted steel titanium with powers of uranium coming out of my cranium. Immortal. Cells as Adidas, I stomp cats and leave a path of skeletal pieces. Y'all are washed up like shellfish on beaches. I'm a genius that's developed speeches deeper than telekinesis. My immortality's recorded on record, never distorted and torted it into 240 seconds. You press your single up and nobody will hear you. Like that Puerto Rican flag CD hanging off your rear view. Get ready to rumble, let's get busy. I spin the axis backwards, make it plain and dizzy. Decapitating, catching the quickening. When I'm spitting, I be wetting motherfuckers like a christening and crippling your click. Quick when equipment equipped like Bloods blast grips. My hammer never clicks, back up cliffs. Slaughter all the competition when ripping the mortal man, and cut your heads off like only an immortal can. Is immortal, I live forever. 1-2 is immortal, I live forever. Self-titled is immortal, he'll live forever. Open mic is immortal, he lives forever.
So now we come to another interesting episode. In the last few years, there's been a great deal of emphasis upon extraterrestrials visiting our planet.
Hey yo, these motherfuckers bugging if they think I hang it up. Pass the mic in my direction and I straight up bait it up. Really got the guns I talk about, I wouldn't make it up. Ultra Mag 4 horsemen, I'm about to raise it up. Till I'm Cool Keith crazy with voices that tell me shit. Trigger fingers extended like E.T. with Elliot. You get your belly hit and shaking like ballistic gel. This is hell, bodies getting dropped like pennies inside a wishing well. Pennywise, fingers with Freddy knives and chainsaws. Put you in a coma, make your brain pause. This is why we break jaws. Singing Judas Priest while we break laws. Rock and break beats since Eazy-E sold 8 balls. I travel through space now and lay foes face down. Cause app is real, battlefields feel just like playgrounds. These little double time yappity yap rappers, I rapidly smack backwards with battery packs fraction. We ain't in the same place, occupy the same space. Rooftops shattering glass in your Apple Watch. Appernauts rocking like Axl Rose and Acid Watch. Astronauts blasting off, laughing while rappers watch in disbelief. This is beef, problems you never wanted. My raps killing tired crowds and leave your whole town haunted. And while you rocking man buns, I'm cocking handguns, sticking you for paper. I'll pass down to my grandsons. Fans run when apples on the stage. I'm metamorphing into a demogorgon. I give your head an abortion. I'll leave your brain in the dumpster. The brave of the dumber, cause some brazen motherfucker about to get his brains braided this summer. Since Biggie was unbelievable, I was similar. A similar sentences like defenses established around perimeters. You outgunned, outshine, must be out your mind. Raps is putrid, app is stupid, slap the fluid
without your spine. Spit divine scripture, rhyme sicker than polio. I'm Godzilla in Tokyo, dicks big as a totem pole. Got inhuman capabilities, kinda like Opio. Grabbing bulls by the horn, this ain't my first rodeo. Yo, we ain't in the same place, or occupy the same space. So get the fuck out my face.
Flash 3 times.
I got that ancient technology. I keep that alien weaponry on me.
Wanted to be anybody else.
I keep that alien weaponry. I got that ancient technology. I keep that alien weaponry on me.
Back at you.
I keep that alien weaponry.
That these records that we now consider to arise from extraterrestrial sources could be the records of the great civilizations were here before they destroyed themselves. UFO back at you.
Okay, so here we were, 10 Commandments, right? And of course, you know, when looked at appropriately, these are successive commands, right? So you can look at the top, right? Okay, it's sort of addressed, right? Sort of a proclamation, right, of God himself, right? I am the Lord, thy God, right? So the first one is a sort of really an exalted statement, right? A statement of exaltation, right? And praise, right? But it's spoken not from the personal lens, right? Okay, it's the thou, right? The I-thou relationship, you know, so to speak, right? To borrow a term from Martin Buber, right? Okay, so the second one, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me, right? Now you're starting with the thou stuff, right? So the first one is addressed as I. The last 9 are addressed thou, right? So there's an appropriate distinction between the first one and the last 9 itself, right? Now, the second one is starting out in the personal lens, right? It's addressed to the person, right? And the rest of them are basically personal, right? Okay, they're about a person's personal outlook, right? Thou shalt have no other gods before me. Thou shalt make unto thee, not make unto thee any graven image, right? So it's against idolatry. So the first 3, right, are about God, right? Now the next few, the next couple, right? Or few, right?
The first 5 are about God. The last 5 are about your neighbor.
Right. Right. But what I'm trying to explain is that it expands, right? So it goes from God to God plus the person it's addressed to, right? To honor their parents, right? Not take any other gods, right? Keep the Sabbath day holy, to then a expansion to society in general, right? So after it
So
moves on from
God is the father, dog. You know what I'm saying? Like the ultimate parent. So that's why it's still about God.
right, honor thy father and mother.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, they're all about God, right? They're all about God, right? That's why it starts out about God, right? So
Well, the first 5 are about
yeah,
God.
yeah,
The Sabbath is about God.
right, exactly, right. But I mean, the first 3 are addressed about, you know, in relation to God, right? So then you have the idea in the first 5 also of expanding to the person, right? That it's addressed to. And then you have, general rules for society, right? General rules for society, right? Thou shalt not kill, thou shalt not commit adultery, right? So that's about keeping rules within the society in general, right? So it's like expanding from God to God plus the person plus to God plus the person plus the community of believers, right? And then added within that community of believers, right? We can add so it goes down here, right? Thou shalt not covet thy neighbor's wife, covet thy neighbor's house, false witness against thy neighbor, right? Or his slaves or his animals or anything of that neighbor, right? So yeah. So there comes the idea of this 11th commandment that Skolomowski is talking about, right? So let's read it again, and then we'll move on to the actual text with Skolomowski, right? And I'll try to recap what we have read in the text, right? Okay, but we'll deal with this. Okay, so there's an ultimate commandment here, right? That he's pointing to here, right? And he says, so let's go back to this, right? And then I'll move forward here for a second, right? Okay, okay, so he says 11th commandment, right? The earth is the Lord's and the fullness thereof. Thou shalt not despoil the earth nor destroy life thereon. Right? Okay, so there we have it. Right. Then he gives several ideas of recommendation of how to enact those principles, and we read that several times. Right. So he's recounted. He said, he's pointed out E.F. Schumacher, the idea of humanizing technology. Right. Bringing technique to human scale. Right. More local scale. Right. And he talks about the innermost beliefs, and he says that religion, right, is the ultimate reference frame. Right, for man's relationship to God and nature, right? So he's talking about he's very clearly just talking about reforming religion, right? And adding this notion of becoming to the notion of religion, right? The notion of static ideals, he thinks that's problematic, right? And he thinks the idea of evolution goes both ways, right? It attacks science and religion, right? So this is one of his primary concepts. Right?
You can sum up the 10 commandments with basically just don't be a dick.
Right. Right. It's all pretty standard. Right. Obviously, there may be some truth to what Paul says, that the law was given to the Jews on behalf of the transgressions that they had committed. Right. So there may be some truth
Yeah,
to
he
that.
was
Right.
retarded.
Right. So so it says, when I speak of evolution, I do not mean Darwinian kind of evolution, even less so do I mean social Darwinian, right? He says, I do not mean a deterministic process, right? Okay, he says, I use the term evolution in the sense in which Bergson and Teilhard applied it, as a partly creative process which alone can account for emergent qualities of new forms of life. All significant changes in history of the universe are the result of evolution so conceived. Evolution means differentiation, means growing complexity and growing consciousness. Okay, so he's taking this idea of evolution into the active principle. He's redefining it in terms of expanding the definition to a more more in keeping with a sort of you know, he's using ideas like Prigozhin. Okay, he's also using ideas like Karl Popper, right, about the sort of idea that there are no absolute laws, right? That the laws themselves are changing and evolving. And he says all human knowledge, including scientific knowledge, was just an extension of the evolutionary perspective into the realm of knowledge and of conceptual thinking. Okay, so there's his expansion of the definitions, right? And he says Newtonian physics is in the image of the Jehovah of the Old Testament. Protestant ethics is an extension of both. The three of them, the theology of the Old Testament, Newtonian physics, and Protestant ethics, spell out essential unfreedom. We are crushed on three sides. Okay, so he's talking about reclaiming human agency through this notion of evolution. That's also something that our friend Avian Buddha talks about. Separation of the physical universe from the human universe, the outer and the inner were galaxies apart. Right, that's part of the problem. Right, the matrix of separation. Right. Yeah, me and Rand were talking about that on the phone, honestly. The matrix of separation. Real talk. So he's talking about developing a new physics and a new theology to accommodate this evolutionary principle. Right? Okay, so that's where he went in. Okay, so he already talked about the scientific part. Right, and here he gives an interesting line. He says the program of the 17th century secularism was undoubtedly bold and far-reaching, and so were the new dreams of reason of the 18th century. However, all these new designs of secularism were only perpetuating the theology of redemption. All the secular dreams of post-Renaissance Western society, including Marxism, including the American dream, are variations on the theme of redemption theology. Bro. They are mythical vessels created for our individual salvation. This is quite different with the new theology or the eco-theology. The world is in the process of a perpetual becoming, he proposes. Therefore, imperfect as we are, we redeem ourselves through our own creative effort by creating meaning within ourselves, by co-creating the universe, by creating ourselves in the image of God, who is in the making in us. We are God in the making in the sense that the universe is in the making, partly by being perceived and processed in our minds. We create realities, both social and physical, including the reality of our mind. I know it's wild. Through which we create further the world around us, either in the image of grace or in the image of the machine. If the former is the case, we live in God's universe. If the latter, we are in a world dictated by the machine. And so he proposes that creativity is a gift, but also a curse. Okay, and this is one of the laws in the participatory universe. Of course, we're going to read excerpts from the his great work, The Participatory Mind. Right? So he says, in truth, we elevated science and technology to the role of the Savior. Right? And this is part of the messianic complex. Right? It's an extension of the messianic complex, right? Which saps away personal responsibility. Right? He says this drive towards futurism has linked to the messianic expectation. Right? So he says what we need to do is actually free ourselves from this with the notion of personal responsibility. Right? And of course, personal responsibility versus collective salvation, right? In the religious outlook, right? And of course, he says we can't abandon either the scientific or the religious outlook at the end of the day, right? He says they're here to stay. But it's all a matter of how we adapt them, right? So yeah, some pretty wild concepts from Skolimowski, I think. I mean, I was blown away by some of this stuff. Never heard of it. God is evolving. Right? Who would have thunk it? Right? Who would have thunk something like this? It's kind of wild, right? Tillich's ontology, right? We looked at last Saturday, right? Huge presentation from about sorry, not Tillich, but Teilhard de Chardin, right? But yeah, he's doing a similar thing to Pannenberg. Right? Pannenberg talked about Tillich versus Teilhard de Chardin and the idea of ecstatic union versus the notion of transcendence through time, right? So he says, man occupies a preeminent position in ontology, not as an outstanding object among other objects, but as a being who asks the ontological question and in whose self-awareness the ontological answer can be found. Okay, the ethical question concerning the nature of courage and the ontological question concerning the nature of being are intimately, inextricably woven together. Right? Courage, basically, restyling courage as sort of faith. Right? The courage to be is the courage to become. Anyways, he also adds in this idea of grace. Right? It says grace is a condition of our being, a condition of our wholeness, but more than that is a condition of harmony with the cosmic plan. The relationship between grace and responsibility is one of the most important problems in Christian theology. Individual responsibility is also kind of a gift. Right? So remember, he said creativity is a gift and a curse. And he says grace is a flower. Okay, we got DK Conspiracy. Yeah, what's up, man?
I've had the craziest day.
Yeah. We'll tell us about it in a minute. Let me finish reading
I
a
know.
couple of these.
I didn't want to jump in and shit. I was
Yeah.
letting you read. Yeah.
Yes, no worries. Yeah, sorry if I didn't see you back there. Yep. But
all good, brother. All good, brother. No stress.
Yep. Yes, no worries. Yep. Yeah, so Teilhard. So Teilhard's predicament, he says the time of crisis is also a time of reformers who attempt to put things aright. Okay, so here he talks about Teilhard de Chardin, right? So he says two opposite forces within Teilhard, how to reconcile the Christian teachings based on the dogma of revelation, the idea of salvation, as well as the idea of return to paradise, with the insights of a new Tao, which accentuates the process of self-perfectibility and of responsibility and the idea of man and women who create with God, right? So the idea with Teilhard is that it leads to a sort of, deterministic, in other words, the future is already settled, right? So it says, Teilhard tried to equate the process of evolutionary unfolding with Christogenesis, but the equation does not work because it cannot work. Right. So yeah, if evolution, they return to Christ, they return to the original paradise, and it is only recapitulates the past. If on the other hand, evolution is actualizing itself, it will be only actualized at the end of time. Okay, so there's this problem with futurism. Okay, that brings us back to where we're at here, right? So that recaps the entire thing. So here's the summary that Skolimowski offers, right? Okay, and remember, he quoted the Upanishads. In truth, who knows God becomes God. Summary, home as sacred enclosure. Okay, I'm going to read a couple of lines of this, and then we'll take a look at the documentary. I'll play some music where I'll hear from DK Conspiracy, and others on the panel, and then we'll move forward, with some other stuff here. Eco-theology is a restatement of our spiritual condition in the evolving universe. which is the home for man. For it is the universe which has engendered, nursed, and nurtured spiritual qualities, which eventually made our oikos sacred. Right? So the oikos is environment and family and economy. Right? These three words used to be linked. Right? In a sort of cybernetic relation, right? But this sort of relation has become deeply disturbed, right, by science and technology. As I've explained on previous shows, right? Theos then is the highest quality of our existence as lived in the oikos. So he's saying that this idea of oikos and theos, the idea of our relationship to our environment and our relationship to God should become linked, right? Our own home, nature, ecological habitats, the cosmos surrounding us. When our home becomes a sacred enclosure, oikos and theos are united, are fused together, and are aspects of each other. Eco-theology is a recognition of the process of divining of the cosmos, whereby evolution has brought about spiritual qualities and has created the sacred ground for us, that our oikos is both dwelling and temple. And our responsibility is to take care of oikos. Both in the immediate boundaries of our home and its outer boundaries, the universe, which has nurtured us. Eco-theology provided as eschatological eco-theology provides an eschatological skeleton for making our concept of God in the universe in this oikos, for the redefining divinity in the human person. Eco-theology provides a new coherence between man and evolution and theology, between physics and religion, between existential. So that is essentially what Pannenberg was trying to establish, is the link between physics and religion, right? Notions like space and time and all that stuff, right? If you go look at the Saturday shows, right? Between the existential and the cosmic in us, it spells out the new human liberation based on creativity, responsibility, self-reliance, all of which are rooted in the notion of the self-creative. Right. DK is liking this stuff, right? Responsible self-reliance, all of which are rooted in the notion of the self-creative character of the universe, of which we are, as God in the making, are a part. Eco-theology spells out the new meaning of humanness in us, which is neither rooted in the old-fashioned humanism, man is the measure of all things, of Protagoras, or the root of man is man himself in Marx, nor is man reduced to the old theological schemes, being nothing but a speck of dust against the infinity of God, or against the infinity of the physical universe, Newtonian physics. But the new meaning derives from the image of man as mind-making and co-creating the universe in the process. We are meaning makers, he says. Meaning makers. We ascribe the meaning to the cosmos. In this sense, we are cosmos makers because we are meaning makers. We are cosmos makers because we are cosmos makers. We are meaning makers. We are neither God nor beast, but only the median in between. By creating fragments of grace within ourselves, we move from beast towards the other end, creating fragments of grace. This is all we are capable of. Not to create these fragments of grace is to betray our divinity, our humanity. Okay. I'm going to move to the video here. So yeah, that's some of Skolomowski. Yeah, he's kind of a beast for sure. But yeah, weird ideas. He's a Polish gentleman, right? So yeah. Anyways, let me open this up for you guys, and of course, feel free to comment, guys.
Which thing is the real problem? There's so many things that can be pointed out. Which one of those things is the real problem with what is going on right now?
DK, do you even know what he's talking about?
Slightly. And
Right.
actually,
The problem
probably,
is that you're not paying attention.
More than most. No, serious. And probably
That's the problem.
More than most. By the way, I'm in kind of a shitty mood. D-Live just like kind of basically banned me.
Damn,
Restricted me to only streaming for 3 hours a day.
that's wild.
And so now I'm streaming on Rumble 24/7. Because screw D-Live. Do you realize that YouTube actually lightened up its community guidelines? And D-Live actually restricted more people just today.
Yeah, yeah, they're trying to equalize
It's
with each
because
other.
the AI was getting retarded. YouTube was
Yeah, they're
feeding
trying
the
to.
AI all the fucking data, and it became
Yeah.
Let's
retarded.
get retarded in here. Yep, I did say there was no censorship last week on D-Live. You are correct, Realize. And now they pulled this. So Realize in the chat. But yeah, last week I did say that. Now they've done this. Now I'm on Rumble. But I've been banned more times, more places than most people. And the only thing I do is try and shift to a different platform so that I can still get what I'm saying out to people. But yes, I'm now restreaming this on Rumble.
DK,
See,
what
before I
would
was
be the
streaming it
most
on D-Live,
important
on
thing?
Rumble, it lasts a lot longer.
What's the most important thing you want to get out to the people, if you could sum it up?
Holy crap. There's so much of everything that all ties in together. I could sit here for like...
I know, but
the next...
like, what's the main gist of it? You know, if you could sum it up for the audience, if you could, you know, put out one thing that you feel is really important, what would it be?
It's the fact that the censorship is becoming more extreme rather than less extreme on most platforms. So we thought it was bad several years ago, back when I was getting banned like every few months. And I really mean it, getting banned every few months. And we thought that was bad.
So basically, you stream all day talking about censorship and it's getting censored?
Yep.
Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, no, so I left that channel. Well, I haven't left, but I'm not streaming there now. But yeah, I'm streaming on Rumble now because D-Live screwed me. So if I get screwed over, I just find somewhere else to go. The only problem is I had like 1,200 followers on D-Live. Now it's a matter of trying to get them all to come over to Rumble. It's a matter of trying to get people to follow you to whichever platform you move to. To be honest, I'm tempted to start streaming on YouTube again. I think they've got less censorship than D-Live now. Like, it is that bad. Supposedly a free speech platform is now less free speech than YouTube. I mean, holy crap, I never would have thought that I was going to contemplate going back to streaming on YouTube. They screwed me over lots of times. And I'm actually contemplating going back to YouTube. I don't know if I'm going to have to make a new channel or whatever. But I'm tempted to go back to YouTube instead of using D-Live ever again. See, not many people have been saying everything that I've been saying for the last 5 years. I keep getting banned from platforms. For the first 2 or 3 years, is because I was going against the narrative and things. I got banned from streaming on platforms for a whole year. The only place I was able to stream was like, I could play stuff on Telegram or Discord. I basically wasn't allowed anywhere else. Now D-Live is like screwed this up for me. So it's, yeah, about trying to get the people who follow me there to follow me to a different channel. Because why would anyone want to stay on a channel that does nothing but want to censor you?
Yeah, is that the crazy story, DK?
It's not the craziest, it's the craziest today.
Okay. Yeah. So let's move on to this video. But yeah, that is wild stuff. Yeah, unexpected for sure. But yeah, let's oh, whoops. Okay, I accidentally highlighted that comment instead of putting this here. So yeah, I put the link in the chat for the people. So yeah, let me play this video for you guys. Here, hold on a second. Okay, yeah, here it is.
That one of the objects of this meeting is to have us, them three or us four, bare our souls to you. Well, I shall do so within limits. And I can't help but think of what this charming lady on my right said on.
Did we watch this
Is that
part?
Gloria Steinem?
No. No, but that'd be wild. Yeah, that would be wild. But yeah, no, it's definitely not Gloria Steinem, who was the CIA agent. Yeah. Yeah, she's some kind of Mother T. Bielecki. So yeah. Yeah. I don't. Yeah, I'll just have to play this video. I have no idea if we. Yeah, but yeah, so I have no idea if we watched this part already. But yeah, this is the last video we're gonna watch of this series here. We've seen the entire series except for this video, right? And this video has a cyberneticist
on the video up there.
Yeah, some type of pogo conference where they're talking about New World Order or whatever. So it's interesting.
We shouldn't really be working all the time. There should be time for play.
Okay, yeah, we watched we watched this part. We watched this part. Yeah, we watched this. I think. Yeah, this is where the lady starts saying all those bass things. Yeah, here we go.
This one that began with, because today I feel that we're meeting as persons, and that's what makes the difference. We're not meeting out of our boxes. There's been an awful lot of talk about progress, and in the name of science, progress, and we have, isn't this wonderful how far we've come, and now there's no more exploitation. Well, I don't see it that way. I think that there isn't a whole lot of progress. There's progress only on the material level. On non-material levels, I think we're less than barbaric. For example...
Yeah, amen, sister. Amen, sister.
Yeah, she said it way better than...
Yeah, sorry, homie.
No, definitely.
Yeah, but what were you going to say? She said it like what?
Oh, I was agreeing about how she said that it's only on the materialistic level, you know, at least to some extent. I mean, you know, medical sciences are, I think, are a little bit different, but on the surface level, the technology we have has only changed the cosmetics of the physical world for us. It hasn't really, you know, done much for us, you know, at least I don't think it has.
Sanitation was huge. That was about it. When we started, like, we stopped shitting where we drink water and started pumping cleaner water, that, like, probably doubled the human life expectancy and got rid of a lot of the horrible dying and death and disease.
I mean, yeah, I agree with you, but there's still lots of dying and disease here with our modern marvels. So I don't see how it's gotten much better. People are still dying at 50 and 60 years old. So
Yeah,
You gotta
they've
you gotta
yeah,
kill yourself though, you know.
yeah.
me? Is it me or the billionaire? People who pump chemicals into the food and water.
Yes.
Yeah, we could talk about the different things. Obviously, the material improvements, right, which she's mentioned. Denizen is mentioned, right? Obviously there's medical technology. There's food and drink and stuff, right? But now I guess there's less people, right, that can survive off of inheritance, right? Back then, I guess, most people were, I guess, relatively free of things like police and stuff like that, right? The king can't really like be everywhere, right? So there's a certain sense of personal freedom that they had back then. Obviously we've improved in our scale of power, right? Our ability to manipulate nature. Um and yeah, so we've talked about some of the diseases and stuff. Some of the
Yeah, but
diseases have yeah.
don't they say that's like the number one reason for the acceleration of the global warming and stuff now? So I mean, all that great advancement really, in all honesty, just I hate to use the term here, fucked us in the ass later, because what you make so much that now you make so much of it that you don't need it no more, and now you've left the earth with nothing left to produce. So I can ride the fence in both ways, but I think if we don't scale back our use of certain resources, we're going to find out here pretty soon that the earth isn't going to produce so much more for us. And if it does, we're going to go through great, lengths to get it. Like they're claiming they're going to go to the stars to mine minerals. So
Yeah, so she's complaining about the notion of progress. And she's saying that it has improved in terms of material, but she's saying that that links to a sort of degeneration, right? I think she's linking it to sort of traditions, sort of values and stuff, and all that sort of stuff. A sense of personal belonging and all that sort of thing. So let's see what she says. Let's see if she can make the case, right? So she's saying we're less barbaric, blah blah blah.
This morning you think progress. There's progress only on the material level. On non-material levels, I think we're less than barbaric. For example, this morning you talked about communications. Well, communications, what are all these communications systems if they don't lead to communion, and there isn't much.
So she said on a moral level, like we're like less than barbaric, right? So she's saying that we've improved so much materially, but we fell below the barbarian in terms of
Can you play that part again?
yeah.
We're less than barbaric. Well, I don't see it that way. I think that there isn't a whole lot of progress. There's progress only on the material level. On non-material levels, I think we're less than barbaric. For example, this morning you talked about communications. Well, communication.
Okay, so she's gonna go into some, but yeah, that's what she said. On non-material levels, we're less than barbaric. So, usually when people say that, I think, to be maybe most encompassing of their view, I would say maybe they're saying that the internal scope, personal scope, is different from the general scope of, the material improvements, right? So I don't know. I guess what is non-material, right? I would usually
Spiritually.
Yeah, I would usually say spiritual, moral, right?
We're spiritually bankrupt.
Right, those sort of things. So she's
Less
kind of
than barbaric, though. I'm curious about the example she's going to give.
right. So yeah.
On non-material levels, I think we're less than barbaric. For example, this morning you talked about communications. Well, communications, what are all these communications systems if they don't lead to communion? And there isn't much communion. There's over-communication, which very often spoils communion between people. And Jacques has talked about, well, now we can read 6 newspapers, and we can read 6 newspapers in a flash. Well, yes, you can, if all you're looking for is information. You can...
Okay, so she's pointed to 2 things. She's pointed to atomization, right, which is a key, a point that we've always used, right? So increased individualism to the, point of atomization. Right. And then she's talked about a sort of over socialization in terms of information overload and that sort of thing. Right. So she's provided 2 examples. Right. And we have concurrently used these examples. You do kind of see like people are slipping, right? Like their mind is slipping when they're on the computer. Right. It's like something comes out, right? A psychopath, right? And you see like a lot of psychopathic people are like posting a lot of weird shit. All right. So it's like there's a link between, sort of social and, spiritual maladies and, the use of computers, right? Right.
It exacerbates it and encourages it, and it also provides a unique opportunity and platform. So where these people would be 1 in 100 in the wild, so to speak, they can group together and travel around in bands on the internet and seem like they're everyone in the room. And it also encourages more ism type behaviors when people are on the internet. So let's say you could assign a mathematical percentage and say someone is 10% a psycho. They're easily 20% on YouTube just by the nature of the medium, right? And then because the 90% psychos are already there, and they already have taken ground, they can turn that 20% into 30 or 40 and encourage it even more.
Yeah, and then there's a question of whether the algorithm is trying to, socialize people in a good way or a bad way. And oftentimes, it seems like it may be trying to engineer conflict or trying to funnel people into like sort of limited hangouts and sort of create chaos and division. So that could be a known function of it, right? To
Yes,
randomize
I would say
events.
I would definitely say yes to both. Just from how I've been messing with the algorithm, definitely.
It's because like it's not just by design, unfortunately. It's because our current society is born out of scarcity. I think mostly artificial, but regardless, the mindset is one of scarcity. And by nature, as human beings, we focus on the negative more. And so then the algorithm gives us who we are and makes it even worse because now it ranks by negativity.
I don't know. That sure does sound like projection. Because in effect, I can tell you that none of my content, all my content, is literally psyoping the masses. And TikTok has a problem with it, but YouTube hasn't struck not a single bit of my content. Have absolutely no problem with it.
I don't know
And
what
also,
that has to do with what I'm saying.
and they also push only certain songs. They don't push the nice good songs that's from the heart. They push the in your face psyoping Illuminati depopulation songs. They have no problem with them.
They don't if that's not what you consume. I mean, I know from personal experience, if you avoid the negativity on YouTube, it will feed you as much happy, fruity, floaty good time, happiness, smiles, and joys as much as you want. I've reduced my timeline to like mostly just kittens and puppy videos if I try to do so.
Yeah, I don't believe that, because in fact, your phone and devices listen to what you're talking about, and then later on down the line, they'll give you an advertisement for something you were talking about. But yeah, sure.
It listens to what you're talking about. That's my point. Most people, this has been studied, focus on the negative. There's a reason too. It's for survival. You don't complain when shit's going well, and you don't worry about how to fix it or overcome it when you're happy. It's the negative shit that you worry about and try to figure out how to solve and put all your attention on. That's natural. And so the algorithm feeds that back to you because you focus on the negative, and then it ranks the negative as the most important shit of the day and gives it right back to you, and the feedback loop increases the intensity.
Yeah, there's a lot of things that the algorithm feeds, but I won't talk about it.
Can only feed what you're liking.
Ha, that's not true. How about you go work for one of the social media websites? It's not how the algorithm works.
It's exactly how it works.
And no, it's not.
When you like something or you pay attention to it,
no, it doesn't.
It records the amount of time
actually,
that you're actually watching something.
The algorithm will actually pick up that you report certain content.
The more you watch something,
and then they'll feed that content to you more. And the more you report it, the more they'll feed it to you.
Pay attention to it, the higher it ranks it.
We know the tracker.
And then it takes that content, like based on other people who pay attention and spend time watching the same stuff that you do. It makes that assumption about you. Right, so it creates groups of thought. People who like this and spend time watching this also like this and spend time watching this, and Twitter specifically.
That's a great way. That's a great way to defend Facebook's pedophilia.
By the number of replies or retweets or quotes.
Did the FBI hire you? Is that why they haven't contacted me?
Human beings only reply to shit that pisses them off. Right? Like that's what they reply to the most.
Dude, really?
So it's giving the human being exactly what it's seeking out on the internet and intensifying it and making it worse. Something to look at.
Yeah, you hear that? You hear that? Everyone, Facebook definitely doesn't promote pedophilia. There you go.
Like, I don't get that stuff
Facebook's
anymore.
not involved in it. There
Twitter's
is
difficult again
Jeffrey
because
Epstein.
now there's a lack of interaction. If I watch something on Twitter, it doesn't care. It only cares if I reply. And I'm not going to argue with somebody that I agree with. So I noticed that my Twitter feed, even though it's not as bad as it used to be, is still more negative than my YouTube feed. My YouTube feed, all that shit's gone now. I don't get any of that crap anymore because I don't click it, like it, watch it, or refer to it.
Yeah, so I put the link in the chat. I don't think anybody will come up, but yeah.
Come on, people, join. There's enough of you giving me shit in the chat. Jump on to StreamYards. Come talk. There's no actual sign up. You don't have to stuff around. You can just click on that and come and talk.
Why would you want to come argue? Apparently, Facebook doesn't push pedophilic algorithms to normal people, so that way the pedophiles can join their groups. Oh, that's right. Not allowed to say that word. I'm sorry, I forgot.
I was talking about here. I was talking about StreamYards, you muppet. Which link do you think TML was talking about?
I just want to put it out there, like, I try to keep track of what every channel creator I know, what they don't like said on their channel, and then I try to adhere to that out of respect. Because I know I am a channel owner, and I know how personally and emotionally and that can be taken and how disrespectful it seems. So I try my best, but I am pretty sloppy and vulgar, and also I don't believe that any of these words are banned. I know people think they are, and so that's enough for me, because out of respect, I'm not going to violate a channel owner's rules. But like depending on what channel you are, you can say whatever the hell you want. You just can't endorse things. Like you can't say the V is not good and the C was a scam, and you can't say like go do this, or but you can use the words, you can talk about the subjects, especially if you give the right point of view. Like if you're on the pro side when you're supposed to be on the pro side, and the anti side when you're supposed to be on the anti side, then they let you talk about whatever the hell you want,
Right.
Information very fast, but life is more than getting information. Life is meeting, life is relatedness. And then now another point you made was about how we've created all these desires in people all around the world because of our fabulous communications.
Yeah, artificial needs. Artificial needs, obviously specialized, means to create those artificial needs. So there's a multiplication of desires that goes along with the idea of information overload, right? Okay, we got a special guest here. Here, hold on, give me a second. Let me put my glasses on so I can cam up as well. Because I don't want to be the only people that are cammed up here. But so yeah, blessings. So, all right, here we go. Yeah. Yo.
What up, Bob?
Bob. Big Bob.
What up? The sky. If I was a dude, I could say my wiener, but
Exactly.
You can still say it.
I could still say it.
Who are you attracted to that your wiener's up? It doesn't just happen for no reason.
Yeah, it does. What you talking about, Willis?
Really? So you just have your wiener up for no reason at all.
Maybe you're too old, but
Eyes everywhere and your wiener's up.
dude, every time I wake up in the morning, my wiener is up. What the fuck are you talking about?
You're the one who said your wiener's up.
I don't even know what he said that time.
Just chopping down morning wood.
So if you're walking down a street and there's all guys, your wiener is up. You are the one with the issue. Don't try and throw that shit back.
I'm so glad that our conversation devolved into talking about penises.
Well, you're the one who said your wiener was up.
No, see, that proves right there you don't pay attention to nothing.
I don't think he can pay attention right now.
Oh, no, sorry. She said
There's too much lager involved.
Agreed. No, my bad. She said your wiener was up and you said you agreed. Apologies for getting that.
That never happened.
I said nothing about wieners.
You're still saying shit about wieners now.
But can I finish my inquiry, please, before you move off of it? If you masturbate with a wooden dildo, and that's conceivably fine, but having sex with a tree which is alive is not, then the only threshold breaker there is that the wood is dead.
No!
The wood is dead!
Our television sets. Well, for one thing, what we put on our television sets isn't even real. I mean, it's all a bunch of lies about how happy you're going to be if you drive this car or smoke this cigarette or... So we talk about all these other countries, and we're going to give them all these material things, or we give them...
Yeah, I remember this lady.
Don't give them money, but what...
Right.
I remember this video somehow.
Yeah, I played this last time. Yeah, this is pretty based. Yeah, I just played it again because I was like, her speech is pretty good. So,
yeah,
I mean, like, cut this with like some, like, I don't know, like some ambient music or even like,
yeah,
throw some vibes on this.
Do these other peoples have to offer us that we may be lacking?
What I think Tessa is pointing to us relentlessly is that without that kind of presence in our lives, of how do you finally confront or not confront the way of lodging yourself.
Sorry, I'm thinking about DK's wood now, because he's like, I got it all the time. I'm walking down the street, I got wood.
I wasn't the one who said that.
You are the only one who said that. You are literally the only one who said that.
Cut it out. That was not me saying that I have that. That was a comment about someone else who said that.
You are literally the only person who said that.
Damn.
No. Oh, well, are you not looking at chat as well?
No, I'm looking at chat.
Really? Okay.
I got wood, you got wood, all God's children got wood. And when we get to heaven, we're gonna walk all over God's heaven. We got wood, you got wood. Okay, now I'm here chopping wood by myself. Sorry guys, I got too into it.
You really did. And I'm pretty sure she ain't chopping wood.
We got two red-haired people on panel, so compliments to their genetics, and I got some red hairs too.
Hey, I mean, I'm redheaded, but I don't fucking devolve like that.
The fire cracks.
How do we know that's not evolved? That's evolution, baby.
Yeah, he ain't a real redhead if he doesn't get angry about shit. The redheads actually get angry about stuff, fire up about things.
Oh God, I gotta zoom in. Oh shit.
Do we have a love connection?
Yeah, everybody gets one.
Crying behind a screen.
Yeah, everybody gets the one zoom in. But yeah.
Everyone gets one zoom in.
Everybody gets one. Yeah.
Dude, I don't know if me being like zoomed in is a good thing.
You get a complimentary zoom in.
Yeah, let's resume DK. Let's resume DK. Are you drinking beer from a flask? Did I see him drinking beer out of some kind of shot?
Yeah, totally.
Container?
No, it's a big ass glass.
Yeah,
what the hell
it's a tall glass. It's like,
what's going on over there?
A pint glass.
Heineken glass.
That looks. I never seen that. That looks weird.
It's a pint glass, right?
Why don't you just
Unusually tall glass made to make it okay to drink twice as much beer at once.
Well, why don't he just drink it out of the can or the bottle?
No. See, you don't know me.
Is it Pepsi?
Tastes better
where they
glass.
had needles in the can, so they had to pour it out first.
Out of what I'm drinking, it's out of.
No, zoom in on DK. We gotta look at him again. I want to zoom it.
Mind you, I already did like
hands above the stream. Hands above the stream.
I already did a 3-hour show earlier with 2 guests and stuff. So yeah, like come on. And I managed to do that while
So I'm proud to be a Briton, where at least I know I'm free.
I'm not in Britain.
Unless you say some bad shit on social media, then you get arrested.
Look at the fucking flag.
Or if you deny the
I would
Holocaust.
love to, but they're not
Can't
going
do
to
that
zoom in
either.
again. Australia.
Nope.
Britain.
That's the other one that's beside it. That one's an Australian one, but it's like an unofficial Australian one.
It says Britain right there.
New Zealand. This is
No, that's the Australian flag.
that I have upside down.
The Union Jack is on the Australian flag.
Oh. Are you guys that know?
The blue one is the
They're
New
a Commonwealth.
Zealand flag upside down. The red one is an.
It's where the Brits used to send all their prisoners back in
Are
the
they
day.
non-allied? So in a mad situation, mutually assured destruction, when we off each other, are they
No.
non-allied? Are they going to be one of the last remaining survivors?
They're a Commonwealth.
Are they aligned or not aligned?
Destruction.
They're aligned if you're talking about the current power, Anglo-Saxon.
Oh, they're with us?
If you're talking
Happy
about
New
They have the Union. They
Happy
have the
New
Union
Year,
Jack on their flag.
motherfucker.
Hey, if I had that up the right way, you could accuse me of being aligned with shit. Having your flag upside down means a country in distress.
Isn't that like the Apostle Peter? He was hung upside down.
Do
you know the Apostle Peter? The Apostle Peter was crucified upside down, and that's where we get the upside down cross.
What'd they do that for?
Is that what you think?
I don't know. Google it.
Okay. You actually think the upside down cross is from that?
Well, Google it.
The
Google
upside down cross is Luciferian and Judaic.
Google it.
How is that cool? No, how is that cool?
Peter, he got crucified upside down.
Yeah, it's not the cross that's upside down. He got hung upside down on the cross. So there's a so yeah. So anyways,
Yeah.
yeah. So there's a difference.
Believe me, I do actually know quite a bit. That's why I'm here often. I'm not a complete.
So it was a cross, and his legs were at the top, and his arms were spread onto what?
Dude, his arms would have just been pinned to the bottom, and his legs spread.
His legs were spread on top of the crucifix, and his head it was bobbling, and his arms were out.
His head is downwards, and his hands.
Let's not speculate. Let's not speculate. You know, if you guys know the reference, you guys could look it up yourself, right? Look it up and read the book.
Let's speculate.
Let's not do that.
Well, how else could someone be crucified upside down?
Speculate, like.
I thought the whole cross was flipped.
No.
No.
No, an actual cross, and he got crucified upside down.
Right.
So his arms were outstretched into the air.
No.
And
No. What is wrong with you? I just explained it.
His legs were.
No, his legs were on the cross.
That's pure speculation.
So then his balls were nailed to the middle.
Yeah, I'm gonna have to dump this guy. I'm gonna dump this guy. Here, let's move on for a second. You know, we can't keep talking about balls and dicks out here. Let's let this play for a second.
Just the openness of what it is to be alive. It's not a past age. It's not a fate.
We got in trouble for talking about Peter.
It's something much more absolutely immediate, which is the depth of just being. Now, you please tell me, why is it that
ball de bang de bang boogie boogie?
Fundamental.
I mean, here's the thing. If you don't want to chill, I mean, that's another thing. I mean, if you don't want to chill, that's another thing. Right? I mean, if you don't want to chill, I mean, it's up to you, really. I mean, you know, I mean, I am trying to play this video, so I mean, you know, I'm gonna back it up a little bit, you know, but
because she was talking over it, yeah, man.
Yeah, right. I can't be doing that. You know, we can't be doing that here. You know, please respect the show. You know, so yeah, let's go on.
I try.
Yeah, that might be like CBO. Yeah, that might be like CBO crew trying to disturb the show or whatever. She's a fan of CBO crew and a bunch of other lame ass shows like that. So it is what it is. But yeah, anyways.
You know what I'm like? Do you want to really play? Do you want me to really play? Shit.
What?
If she's gonna keep playing that, do you want me to really play?
No. Let's just move on to the video. Thank you.
Exactly. You want me to do it on other people's shows?
Is that without that kind of presence in our lives, of how do you finally confront or not confront the way of lodging yourself in being, of just relaxing into just the openness of what it is to be alive. It's not a past age. It's not a faith. It's not a belief. It's something much more absolutely immediate, which is the depth of just being. Now, you please tell me, why is it that in the West, we have lost sight of that fundamental aspect of learning, of training? Why is it that you cannot go around and ask people, well, can I learn that? How do I go about having some kind of actual learning, practice, path to follow, to let go of this constant quality of grasping onto the next thing that's happening, onto the next idea that you have, or the next memory that you have? There is no space, and I think this is absolutely right. There is no space. We live lives with no space. Now, I'm not saying that that's the answer for everything, but without that, I find it very hard to believe that we can ask any question how to help. As you know, the Buddhists are very fond of saying, and I agree, before you ask yourself, how can I help? Ask yourself the question, how can I stop bothering?
And we've asked, well, where do all the problems come from? And we're looking for systems and projects and programs, when what is, I think, much more fundamental is that it begins with me. What is in my heart or not in my heart?
We don't accept that we are double. We are really double. It is the French writer Paul Valéry had said it, wrote it in, I mean, in the 30s or in the 20s, it's not so new, but he said something like, it's not sex what is the principle, what is important, it's we are double in ourselves. We can talk with ourselves, we agree, we disagree with ourselves. And that's quite normal that you say, I want my comfort, my positions, and everything I want, my pleasure. I'm responsible for humanity. I want both.
We should be aware of the fickleness of our minds. Nevertheless, we don't behave that way. We behave as if we know where we're going, or that we have these kinds of values, and we think that our thoughts for others are the good ones. Well, sometimes they aren't. What keeps you tied to your beliefs, to your attitudes, to your dear notions about what should be done? If one can become a little more lighter about those beliefs, a little more, therefore, response-able, even if it is little things.
That's so weird that he said response-able like that.
That's
and then,
how I see it too. Yeah.
right now. So yeah, very interesting. But yeah, this idea about I think they're expanding on on Skolimowski's idea quite a bit. I mean, right, about oikos, right? About how that relates to theos, right? Now obviously it's put in the mouth of the lady who's like a nun or whatever, right? So they're trying to talk about the religious principle that could have been scripted like that, right? And so yeah, so they're talking about the problem of consciousness and how that relates to the whole scientific project, to the artistic project, right? The idea of personal responsibility, right? And I'm putting oikos in terms of personal responsibility, right? And relationship to the environment, right? Because it's also family, right? That's a sort of in the mix of that, right? So yeah. So yeah, no offense to Bob Smith. I appreciate you very much. Nobody got booted for any reason. I was gonna bring you back up. You left, right? But the thing is that, right, let's not talk over the video, right? Yeah. There's only a little bit more of the video left. I'm not gonna play like forever either. So it's not a big deal.
Like getting along better with your neighbor, it will help. But that takes a learning. We don't provide our children with an occasion to explore that.
Oh yeah, and then he's talking about the loss of like personal skills, like learning, right? Like foolish is the man who sends his son to school to learn what the teacher thinks, right? And this idea that art is a communal project, that learning is a communal project, that you could learn things from others, the notion of tutelage itself, how that is a personal notion that ties back human relationship, right, to the genealogy of learning and all of this type of stuff, right?
We don't provide our adults with an occasion to explore that. We teach them mathematics. We never teach them how to tune the instrument of their life, of their beings. And I think that that's the question of spirituality in everyday life. Spirituality as the most fundamental training that's got to grow steadily and slowly to become response-able. True commitment to others has to be translated in commitment to oneself.
Becoming the beloved.
Yeah, he really did use response-able like that. If you go back, he even defined it, right? He said commitment to others is a commitment to oneself.
To become response-able. True commitment to others has to be translated in commitment to oneself.
Yeah, so that is wild stuff. So yeah, I wonder.
That changed my life when I started thinking about that word that way.
Oh, really?
It was recent for me, maybe the last 5 years or so.
Yeah, like respond instead of reaction, right? Yeah, welcome as
Yeah, and your ability, right? Like everybody, like responsibility is not doled out based upon responsibility. And maybe it should be, because not everyone is as response able as the other. And then we all have different things for which we are more or less response able, right? Like something that may totally stress out or defeat another person may be child's play for me, and vice versa. You know, like an everyday occurrence for someone might be might make me anxious and may be unthinkable for me to respond to appropriately.
Well, and that could actually be connected to the biofield concept. So science has proven that your heart actually gives off frequencies 3 to 6 feet. So you affect people in your immediate radius. I mean, and other factors too, because there's brain activity. But anyway, just blessings, TML. This is FYI my first time on panel in about 4 to 5 months here.
Yeah. I never knew thee, P Anonymous. Depart from me. I mean, holding water for who? You care to specify, or you just want to take more pop shots from the sidelines, spitballs from the bleachers, right? You're a coward, right? A spineless one at that, all right? Have no idea who you are. You're P Anonymous, right? Remain anonymous then, right? I mean, anyways, yeah, let's get into some other stuff.
Is it okay if I just mention quickly, from what I see, the cross, like Peter's cross was upside down, not just
What?
Peter.
So Bob Smith embarrassed us. Yeah, you hear that, Bob Smith? So you won the panel verse tonight, right? So, definitely got rid of the champ. I mean, so yeah.
I'm trying to find scripture verifying that, but all the depictions at the time show the inverted cross, like the top of the cross being buried into the ground as they hoisted him up by the legs.
Yeah.
Yeah. So. What about it though? Like, what is it in reference to?
The opposite of that was claimed earlier, and
Right.
then I think like that someone in the chat took it to like imply that we would not state the truth on this channel, which we just did.
I was just wondering, because I was like, is people denying that about that? Because a lot of people don't realize that's the reason why they put the upside down crosses in the media and stuff. So, all right, sorry.
How is you making a comment the truth when other people have already made comments? So
what the hell? I'm asking a question.
And by the way, that is not why I kicked her. I kicked her because of the balls thing, right? Because Peter got.
Yeah.
She said something about Peter's balls, and I don't want Christians to get offended when they watch the show. So I'm not trying to attack Christians on the show. So that's the main reason why. So I didn't want to go back to the balls and dick thing. I already played the Andrew Wilson clip, so I want to just move on from that discussion onto the video. But anyways, that's really what happened there. So anyways, we got to be swift about these things because we got to move on to a couple things here, especially Mander and his ideas about mega technology. So I think I have a few reactions on that. But yeah, let me play a song, Mystical Strings, right, by Kayo Itachi, right, and John Robinson, right, and then we'll be back in about 3 minutes. Thank you guys.
set a precedence. Mr. Robinson for president. Rap fly, black tie, or else it's irrelevant. Tuxedo lethal is so heaven sent. B-boy stance like I'm the magnificent. At terrific speeds, he slang these verses. World traveling, unraveling the bigger purpose. Suit and tie rap cleaner than the bar soap. Yeah, I get the point, but if it's dope, it's dope. Point blanks, joints rank higher than most in general. Top choice voice, that's the minimal. Let it go. Freedom is a place I live. It's so peaceful. Touch ground on motherland soul, give him a feet full. Foundation rap strapped to his back. Yeah, lay back cat with verbal all-out attack. Smack across your grill piece, Philly's thoughts. The scientists still in effect, laying these laws like war. Mystical strings on mics, we do magical things. Ill vibe, the beat brings, it's a brand new swing. Universal connect, the high got you moving your neck. You showing proof when it's set, straight out wreck. Mystical strings on mics, we do magical things. Ill vibe, the beat brings, it's a brand new swing. Universal connect, the high got you moving your neck. We showing proof when it's set, straight out wreck. Fiddle riddle melodies written illegibly. A lot of cats roll around feeling the styles allegedly. Of course, it's brand new pedigree. You telling me? Cats been trying to pull him off his square, but he just let it be. Forward, movements for real. This ain't no fast life. You might get blinded by speed looking for searchlights. If goddess is what you're looking for, come on, take a tour. Been around the world and and some more. It's pure. We roll with the agreeable kind. Mind soldiers who always stand, it's all in the mind. It's not over, it never ends. It's more than ink and pens. It's mystique and verbal technique that transcends the entire global guard. It's beyond any hemisphere. Drifting through the stratosphere, peering in your atmosphere. Have no fears. It's Mr. Robinson and Kiyotachi. The French connection, blessing these hot beats. Mystical strings on mics, we do magical things. Ill vibe, the beat brings, it's a brand new swing. Universal connect, the high got you moving your neck. We showing proof on the set, straight out rap, yeah. Mystical strings on mics, we do magical things. Ill vibe, the beat brings, it's a brand new swing. Universal connect, the high got you moving your neck. We showing proof on the set, straight out rap, y'all.
All right, yeah. Okay, where was I? Yeah. Oh, yeah. Mega technology. Yeah. Let me pull this up for you guys.
Anyway, if you're there, Hannibal King, and you're feeling like you don't get to say anything, now is probably the best time.
Who the hell is that?
Hannibal King, who's in chat,
Oh.
in the voice chat right now, they said, I think I've only been able to say like 7 things because the rest of us just keep talking over them. And I'm saying there's a break now. Say something now.
You guys just really need hugs. Is that what's wrong? Just need a little attention.
who DK?
A lot of
I
people
need
here.
lots of
you know?
attention. Are you going to come and administer?
Please don't touch me.
Don't touch me. Nice
See,
one,
that was
Dennis.
the other way. I told her to
But
come
let's be
touch me,
honest.
and you're saying don't touch me.
But let's be honest. There's a lot of anxious attachment style here and avoidant attachment.
There's like a lot of what?
The concept of how you handle your social interactions. So either you're like an anxious attachment or an avoidant attachment style.
Really? So why are you studying so much psychology?
Yeah.
Because that's my jam, man.
Yeah, I just want to read this.
Hey, you actually have no
DK,
idea.
this is TML. Just
anyone
let him
here is
talk, please.
like.
Yeah, don't worry, I got the controls. I will dump him. But yeah, here's the thing. Gerrymander. Mega technology. Very weird piece here, but it really explains this concept that we're going to look at in Mumford, right? Because we're expanding on the notion of democratic techniques and how they're indistinguishable from totalitarian techniques once it gets to the technical scope, right? So he's so this idea of mega technology is obviously coined by Mumford, right? So yeah, so we're gonna sort of get into this. He says we live in a new kind of global environment where everything is mediated by technology, right? So he says we live in a technology environment, a technosphere,
Mm-hmm.
right? So this is a concept. So this primary concept comes from the idea that that human society, right, evolved, right, based on natural limitations, right, and the social organization went beyond the needs of survival, right. The cultural forms created the majority of human engagement, right? So in the artistic and cultural forms and in the religious forms, right? And that expands into the notion of the universal, right? And this notion of the universal, whether it's expressed within the archetypal man, right, of the spiritualist, right, or the species being of the Darwinist, right, it sort of implicates man in a sort of universal project, and therefore you have this global idea. So this global environment, right, that is sort of transfixed by human imagination. So he talks about this idea of coevolution that I was highlighting in terms of Skolimowski, right? And this is a huge idea, right? So Skolimowski has perhaps the broadest application of this concept, right, of this symbiosis, right, that we're going through with the technology and with nature, right? And of course, this means that God is also going through this process of becoming, according to Skolimowski, right? So this is seen in the Gospels, right? That God became man in order, in order for man to become like God, God had to become like man. So I gave a sort of 3-hour application of many of these concepts: God, man, nature, right? That's in part 1 of this show, right? And then we got sort of rained on by like we got like cyber attacked or whatever, even it was oh yeah, but it goes so we are co-evolving with our technologies. In nature, creatures evolve by adjusting and reacting to other creatures. Okay, it used to be that way with human beings as well, but now we are co-evolving mainly with machines. Our compromise with them is that we start to
you have to react with the society as these idiots are evolving it. And as do you want to evolve with this new techno society, or do you want to reject it and retain your actual society?
Oh yeah, that's definitely part of the problem. So he says so he says that we're co-evolving mainly with machines. Our compromise is that we start to become like them. We become a little like them in order to use them. So so there's an idea of, we think, therefore we are, and we create, therefore we become, sort of deal there. Where there's sort of a mix of elements. Now, actually I'm reminded of the Shang-Tzu, right? It says here in the Shang-Tzu, right? It says those who possess machines must end up becoming mechanical in their affairs, and those who are mechanical in their affairs must end up becoming mechanical in their hearts and minds. If a mechanical heart is situated in one's chest, then one can't prepare oneself to receive pure simplicity. If one can't be prepared to receive pure simplicity, then one's spirit becomes unsettled and Tao has no place to enter. Anyways, this is a little chapter 12 from the Shang-Tzu, right, against labor-saving devices. Right. So so here he says, he says cycle of action and reactions. He's talking about cybernetic arrangement, sort of, right? In terms of computer technology, right? He says to watch television is to take in images that are artificially created for a specific purpose. By carrying these images, you begin to turn into them. That's basic to education and all experience. As you ingest your environment, you begin to evolve with it. In the case of television, you are evolving on the basis of carefully selected program images. So you are getting acted on in a very aggressive manner. Television turns you into its own images. It rearranges your mind, right?
And your cells.
Right. Right. Who controls your eyeballs controls your mind. Right. If you
Anybody
control,
else do this stuff consciously?
Yes. Do you not?
Yeah, I can tell you in some of the videos when I put the all-seeing eye, a lot of the occult symbolism in it, it gets pushed in the algorithm a lot more. So,
right.
they whether or not people are actually, they claim that each video you posted is not just reviewed by AI. It has to be reviewed by a real person to make sure that you're not, uploading, killing people and death and all that horrible other stuff. So, but I can
The
tell you that
AI's already covered that now.
some of it does, but I can tell you, dude, as someone who's had to review AI generated content, a lot of that stuff does get past the AI. People have gotten smarter and smarter where they have figured out how to get a lot of this AI generated filth past the algorithms, where it still has to have a human pair of eyes go and review the content and see what's being put into it. That's why, no offense to you, Denizen, but earlier when I sit here and tell you that as someone who has reported Facebook themselves to the FBI about the stuff that is promoted on their website, I can tell you they don't care. So, like with my videos, they obviously,
That's only because the CIA actually
I know,
funded
but anyway, they
Zuckerberg from the
self-promote themselves,
start,
that's for sure.
and that's the CIA funded Zuckerberg from the start. He is not a self-starter. He got funded 50 or
Of course,
500 million. I can't remember how
of
many
course, the
euros.
algorithm gives
He
higher
got
weight to its
funded
own
to
material.
start the damn thing.
The blue light alone that comes off the screen. So this is something that we used to talk a lot about with our patients in sleep medicine. Activates or hyperinflates your alpha waves, causing like anxiety type spikes.
Oh, I know that's the reason why all these famous people and things use red and blue, because the red and blue have certain occultic meanings and it affects different emotions and makes people act a certain way.
Yeah.
But anyway.
It just reminded me to put on my my yellow filter on my screen or enhance it.
Yeah, I use the nighttime filter as well. Makes everything look weird, but it's better for your eyes and your brain.
Exactly, and because it more mimics the effects you would get from natural light and being in nature.
Yeah.
And something that I just saw and pulled up the actual study from it is that they're now showing that if you spend, it's like the concept of forest bathing, but if you spend 3 days in nature, your body will start producing the cancer killing cells. So this is just like, again, a frequency game to me. So it's like an out of tune concept.
Yeah, there's also like optico whatever, like I actually don't know how it's spelled. Opticogenetics or whatever. But yeah, they could reframe your they could send you information that you're not aware of. You know, right? Like with the pixels and stuff. I mean, it's been shown. I mean, right? So yeah. So I'm glad that people are announcing in the chat that they never found value in this show. Right? So that shows who they really are then. You know, what point is there to hang around?
Can you unmute?
Is it the same person though?
Right.
Can you unmod Bob?
Because I've never seen her here before.
Yeah, DK, you're roboting. We can't hear you.
Didn't we finish watching the video?
Yeah, we can't
like
hear
immediately after.
Yeah, you can hear me.
Man, she really lost her shit.
Yeah, she lost it. You know, it
But
is
you
what it
know,
is. If you don't get to,
seriously,
if you don't get to
you've made
disturb,
them a mod. Yeah, you've made them a mod, and no one can do anything about it.
I hate drunk people, dude. I can't help it.
There's about
yeah,
5 people that said they want
I know they
to
drink because they're in
you.
pain, and I try to have empathy,
About 5
but I
people
just,
have said they want to.
it's hard, man. I just don't
okay,
like
DK,
them.
I heard you. I heard you about the mod situation. Okay, let's not repeat that again and again. But yeah, so yeah, I don't care about the mod situation. At the moment, you know, but yeah, the type of crazy stuff, you know, all the wild stuff, you know, that people never found value here. And right, so this is the thing. It's like, you know, it's like you should have admitted it. You know that you were not here to actually, you know, talk
Engage.
about, yeah, engage. Right, you were not here to engage with the material. Right, you did not care about what I was presenting for so long. You don't care about my life work or anything I have to say. Right, all you care about is your own utterances. Right, you're arrogant enough to assume that the show is about your utterances. Right, and you don't find any value in the show other than your own utterances, right? Which if you don't get to engage that way, right, by disrupting the show material, then everybody on the show is evil, and that's why everybody turned against us. I don't even know who you're talking about,
Yeah.
right? I've kept lots of good relations with so many people in the around. I've forged many good relations with dozens of people, right? Try
Yeah,
doing it sometime.
I feel like this show is great because it touches on topics I really think are important. Right now, I'm reading Rossio, reading his discourse on the origin of inequality, and it's pretty good. Yeah, the notes are pretty long, though, but the notes are very important to read. But yeah, I see so many parallels, convergences in a Godzilla movie. The Heisei era. I'm gonna make a video on Rosso soon, though. But yeah, I feel like the way to appreciate this channel is to read some of the works. You don't have to read all of them. You know, I'm not gonna read Pannenberg. You know, I'm not gonna read that, but I'm gonna read like Rosso, and I've already read ellul and some Kaczynski. I need to read more Kaczynski. But yeah, you need to read some stuff to appreciate this channel because it's kind of it's like an anomaly to have a channel this academic on here or this
Yeah.
that makes you think. But some people have discernment and they get it very rapidly. So yeah, so I don't think you need that much background, but yeah, some people naturally get it. Though. That's right.
Agreed.
Yeah, but yeah, I'm not gonna be able to come as much starting next week because I got a slavery job. But I
Oh
went to
no.
interview. Went to interview today.
Yeah, hold on. Yeah, hold on, Bob. Give me a minute. Oh wait,
Sure.
you left again. Yeah, give me a minute. I do want to talk to you. So if you want to join,
Bob isn't Bob supposed to be a woman?
Kinda.
yeah, give me like 2
You
minutes.
never know these days, though.
Yeah, give me 2 minutes, Bob.
Hey, in chat, Bob just said they wanted to spread my cheeks and fuck me.
Oh
Yeah, well, that's
Yeah,
their
I saw
prerogative.
that. Not my kind of girl, you know. I mean, to each their own. Some dudes might be into that.
And this is someone you have as a mod,
I'm
so no one can do anything about
I'm
it.
a misogynist. I like gentle, kind women.
It's not it's not just a mod. It's an old homie in the chat. So I'm wondering if they're willing to engage, with the show material because I do think it's important for society, and I mean, it's definitely important for me to do research in public like this, and right. I spread my
This might be the most important topic of our time right now.
Oh, you want to?
literally.
I guess you want to roll your eyes at that. So yeah. So you don't think I'm serious, huh? No.
I hate how people think that.
I think I've said it before.
Let me
Like
tell you, TML,
this is top 5 YouTube channels that
Let me tell you
I've
something,
come
TML.
across on the internet.
Yeah,
I'm
thank
sorry
you.
about that. Let me tell you something, TML. Most people are unknowingly like Voltaire. You know what I mean? I was thinking about that recently. Most people unknowingly are like Voltaire's spirit lives on in them. And they lack the capacity to like criticize or reevaluate Voltaire. Like Voltaire is probably one of the first soy boy or the first bugman or something like that.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
Yeah.
All right, so we'll see if the homies. So I'm gonna dump everybody. I'm gonna have a conversation with this person, and
Damn it.
and yeah. So give me 2 minutes here. Yes, young lady. How can I help you?
Yeah, Avian Buddha actually stole my thunder, and it's kind of creepy. It's almost like he's clairvoyant, because when you said, I want someone who's going to interact with my content here, and then literally everything that was in my head, fucking Avian Buddha just spewed out. Like he like literally stole my. You ever see that thing where they got the piece of paper, like they're about to go into the ring? He like literally took everything from my cue card that I had written down. Like, I don't know how he did it. Like, I don't know if he's like clairvoyant or what the hell that dude's on. I know he's smart and I like watching him. But anyway, so when you said I didn't want to engage with the conversation, and you're like, well, why are you even here for? So I actually did have a question for you. So like, I've been watching, like, when everybody else went on break and then you X'd out and then your stream ended and then you started it back up again. I was like actually watching, like, I'd never really slowed down and watched like your intro song. And I realized it goes on for 20 fucking minutes. The I want to go to work, computer, ba-doo boom boom. That guy goes on for like ever. And so I'm sitting here watching it.
No, that doesn't go on for 20 minutes. It's only 3 minutes long. But yeah.
Dude, what was the one I clicked on where the robots talked for 20 whole fucking minutes and it was like a bunch of programming and the computer now to do a lot of boom boom do. It took 20 minutes. Yes, it did.
Right. Yeah. So yeah. It's quotes from the Technological System by Jacques.
Yeah. That one. See, you know what I'm talking about. That one. So anyway, I'm watching it, right? And I'm paying attention because usually it's just like an intro. So I'm sitting here paying attention because it's basically like when you join a job, they got like a mission statement. So I'm like, okay, let me check out this guy's mission statement. And then we got to that part where they were like in a shed and like the FBI has shirts on and they're putting flashlights on the canned goods. And I'm like, is this Ted Kaczynski or whatever? Do you know what I'm talking about? So anyway, I got this all prepped because you're like, you don't even pay attention to my content. And I was going to bring up Ted Kaczynski, and maybe that is a proof that I don't pay attention because I'm just now noticing that. But the first thing Avian came up with was, yeah, we know you're here about Ted Kaczynski, and then he brought it up, and I'm sitting here like, well, what the fuck? So he noticed it, and then he threw it back, and like I'm about to jump in the screen, but I'm like in a bullpen where you didn't open the door yet, and I'm sitting here waiting, and so I don't got nothing to say. But yeah, I did watch it. I'm retarded, which means slow. So if I don't get it now, I'll get it someday.
Sure. Yeah, sure. Yeah, so I'm gonna proceed with the presentation. But yeah, thank you for joining and yeah, all right. So I'll came up.
Oh, and one more thing. Yeah. I don't have anything to do with TBO and everything you keep referencing. Every time you see me.
I don't know. Anybody that came up there, anybody who came up from over there and tries to disrupt my show, it's automatically a bad sign. But yeah, it is what it is. But yeah. Anyways, let me just proceed over here.
And let's just say, if you start screwing with TML,
I will fuck your butt, DK. I will fuck your butt. You shut up.
Anyway, thank you for your useless monologue. Can you let the man continue now? DK, we know.
Do not engage.
There you go.
Yeah,
we know, DK. We know who comes here to start problems.
Yeah, don't worry, I got this. So that moves us to the next thing here. Is that technology is not neutral. So he's talked about the global system. He's talked about the technosphere. He's talked about the sense of technical monism. He's talked about the sense of alienation. He's talked about the artificial aspect of it. He's talked about the images, right? And about how we're becoming what we create, right? And of course, right, how I mean, if you could be told what to, hear and say, you could be told what to, if you could be told what to hear and think, you could be told what to do and say, right? So, anyways, who controls your eyeballs controls your mind, right? So it's a sense of programming, right? It's a sense of mediation, right? Technology is a major form of mediation, right? And it's also material, thing. So it's sort of foggy somatic detachment that we come from that, right? So technology is not neutral, right? It's part of a interconnected system, right? That means that it's not it's not based on a sort of individual use, right? And also it influences and shapes our lives, right? So he talks about this problem, right, of technical monism, right? He says technology changes our reality in a dramatic and sometimes dangerous way. So he says we need to understand how technology affects the whole system. Although we may find computers to be helpful or television to be entertaining or cars to be able to move us rapidly, we need to go these things also have serious effects on the environment, on the speed of life, on the way we think. On how we view ourselves, on how we react with nature, and on how power changes in the system. Right? So these are all significantly things that are outside of the range of our control, right? Yet they're things that technology, affects, right? All of these are systemic changes, right? There are things that happen in a system as a whole, right? It is not enough for us to say that cars are great because they will drive to some place. Cars speed up life. They make oil wars happen. They create terrible waste problem. They require a lot of pavement, and they kill people. So you have to make a serious a series of systemic questions, right? Before you make a judgment about whether cars are good. Right? The same goes for TV and for every technology. Right? You have to look at how it integrates into the system as a whole, right? Before you decide how it affects any particular person based on their use, right? So yeah, so let's see what's going on. So I appreciate everybody. I mean, I'm not mad at anybody, right? This is a key thing. And you guys are welcome to contact me offline at any time.
I think me and you have only argued once. And you only
Right.
actually argued once.
Right, like seriously. Other than that, it's been all just
Yeah, and that's why I distanced myself for a couple of weeks before I started coming back and shit. But seriously, that's actually what it is. Because we only argued a couple of weeks ago and I distanced myself to give it time and shit so we could actually talk again.
Yeah, okay, so you could look at a factory, right? Now, a factory, right? On that scale, right? It's basically it's basically a scale of mass production, right? So the thing is that large scale technologies are inherently centralizing, right? So and also they increase regulation, right? They increase in government regulation, right? So he's talking about this aspect of technologies, right? In terms of, whether they're localizing or whether they're, centralizing. And he's saying the larger scale the technology, right, like nuclear, right, is inherently centralized. Technology, okay, requires centralized military industrial institutions, right? And then the 250,000 years of dangerous waste, right, that it produces, right? And of course, all those things are intrinsic to the technology itself, right? You know, okay, and so he goes on. He says, well, there's another failing to take a systemic viewpoint. People may edit their copy, communicate with their friends, connect with other like-minded people, and so on, but the computer doesn't change the fact that great centralized institutions, corporations, trade bureaucracies, militaries, governments, and so on are able to use the same computer with far greater connections, with far greater real power. So the internet will not stop a forest from being cut down or global money speculation from affecting the fates of whole societies. These technologies have to be viewed in all their dimensions. It's an illusion for us to believe that our use of computer will somehow change the centralized system of power. Right? So yeah. So that's a key thing, obviously. Right? Right, is the advances in technology. Right? Okay, and he says, okay, and he talks about lastly the absence of the sacred. Right, actually, let me go back a little bit here. And all right, yeah, never mind. Yeah, let me just move forward. He says, yes, if you have some time and thought to potentialities of technologies and see all the directions that they can go in, it will reveal much about how they are going to be used. It's very necessary to understand those before a technology is used in a way that we don't approve of. Of course, people often say, well, we don't know how a technology is going to turn out. The point mentioned in the book is that we do know how technology is going to turn out. We can make lots of predictions about technology. Corporations live and die by how well they predict these the uses of their products. A corporation is going to put zillions of their dollars into creating a technology. Is not going to do that, right, without studying every possible downside. Right, corporation wants to know everything so they can spend a lot of money in figuring out these technologies are going to do, and what they tell us is only the good things that they do. Right. And
yes,
that is
100% TML.
Yeah, and that is a key thing that he talks about.
I actually did this with the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. It was
Yeah.
one of my first public talks ever. And I did it with that. It's like, here's what they're saying, and here's what all these things actually mean. See, people don't understand that the thing that they're telling you isn't the truth.
So part of this article too,
they're constantly trying to control you, and they're constantly trying to get towards Agenda 2030. These are all the things, the 17 Sustainable Development Goals. Please go look them all up yourself. This is everything they want to achieve by 2030. And by the way, the fake alien invasion is supposed to be in 2027.
Yeah, thank you, DK. Yeah, we'll keep an eye out for that. Yeah,
Dude, you're not going to need to keep an eye about it. Keep an eye out about it. It's going to be pretty obvious.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah, please go ahead, Ezra. You want to present this?
sorry, just more or less wanted to mention alongside of this. So this article gets into like what I was already talking about, the direct connection with anxiety. And again, this is something I've seen in brain activity. This is also like I've had patients who had their phones next to them with the Wi-Fi on, and seen unusual activity go off, like if they received messages. So this actually, again, is showing up in your brain activity. But also there's other studies that connect to the light exposure and like lights being on all night long, and how this is obviously messing with animals' circadian rhythms and their migratory systems just based on that alone.
Yeah.
Oh, that's crazy.
Light pollution is a pretty big deal. Yeah, light pollution.
I know this may be really off the wall, but could that possibly affect the spotted lanternflies that have been causing the stir here in the States?
It's
Or
Oh
when
yeah.
it's when they started
I'm not
using
gonna
the
lie, I thought it
and
was
the 5G.
connected.
It's the LED lights and the 5G. Like there's been countries where they turned on 5G and flocks of hundreds of birds fell to the ground. Like this shit is real, and everyone's pretending it's not real because it's not put on TV.
Nah, there's definitely been a lot of strange
None of
stuff
this is
here.
real because it's not put on TV. The only things that are put on TV is, like you were saying, the positive side of all the things they're doing.
It's like DDT.
So the
I
core
know,
of this, though.
you know, you need your
All right,
DK, hush, let her
it's okay.
finish, let her finish, let her
Yeah,
finish.
go on, guys.
I'm trying to be real patient if you can't tell. Regardless, is that the core of this again is frequency. So realize touches on that, and you guys hear me always constantly talking about resonance frequency. So it's like, what is the actual vibration that this is putting off, and what does that inevitably change the rhythm of in your own body? And that or create. So again, getting into the cancer concept. So why is walking barefoot in the woods for 3 days, producing cancer killing cells? Because again, it's a resonance aspect.
Yeah, in my university they had magnets. I think it was called MET, or sort of magnets that can like turn off specific areas of your brain, like brain area.
Yes.
Yeah, I forgot what.
I don't want to bring up another LARP, but do you think they can create a device that can change, if you want to use the word frequency, mental state, do you think they already have a virus that can technically make people go, cuckoo, 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 if they wanted to?
Well, let me tell you this.
They can do it.
I don't think the virus alone can do it.
Okay, thank you. This is for my own research.
Well, and there's research done that like just certain mental states can cut off your frontal lobe, which is like your decision-making center.
Yeah, well, the brain is very plastic, but yeah, the prefrontal cortex is involved in heavy decision making. What I was referring to was called transcranial magnetic stimulation, and knowing how science and technology are accelerating, maybe there is a lot of bad things with 5G, and like DDT, when it was causing problems, it took Rachel Carson, like decades to like expose it, and maybe it will take decades to expose all the negative effects from 5G, or what they call dirty electricity. You know what I mean? Like there's
Avian, I thought about you earlier. Actually, let me ask you this real quick. I don't mean to do it. Have you ever worked in a facility where you have to be around like any type of places that give off like radiation or microwaves or stuff like that? Because when you said that you were having memory problems, I do find it funny that in one of the LARPs and Hitman, when you're inside the facility with the Illuminati triangle, that one of the guys complains that he's having memory and sleeping problems. So I just wanted to ask you if do you work around screens?
Well, that was in the past, but I did work with EEG nets. Like EEG. Like those are like sensors you put across the skull, and you can measure the brain waves based on like the the neurons at the neocortex. They're more vertical, and they summate, and they create an electrical dipole, which the EEG can pick up. Yeah.
Do you think? Do you think they could? Okay, allegedly, hypothetically, any word you could use. Do you think that they can create autism? Alzheimer's and stuff out of thin air? I mean,
Uh,
do they
let me
need
ask you something.
chemicals?
Did you watch my video, the rollout theory, or like,
Yes.
yeah, okay. Let me tell you this, man. When I went for computer science and for neuroscience, when I read about organoid intelligence, it felt like it popped out of nowhere. You know what I mean? Like there was no build up to it, like at least from my perspective. It just felt like it was rolled out or it popped out of nowhere. So, it's like 15 years ahead of what we can tell. You know what I mean? And based on what I can tell, now it's starting to feel more like, I don't know, black magic or something.
I wanna say that's what the series Dead Space was putting in your face, all about convergence with the marker. It's
Yeah, I played that.
using technology, and it's kind of funny they saw the marker as a religious thing. So what I'm saying is it's funny. There's a lot of talk about frequencies and people going cuckoo, and I'm just trying to place it together. So, and when you told me the other day that you were having those problems, I was sitting here and I was playing Hitman VR earlier, just to have some fun or whatever, and I was going about the level, and I was actually listening to the dialogue again, and I heard one of the dudes actually sit there and say where just him working around these screens and these types of technologies is causing him to have memory problems. So, I'm hearing. I've also been hearing a lot of people in the chat and who's been coming around claiming that they're having memory problems. I'm not saying that I don't have a lapse in memory every once in a while, but I think it's strange that people are saying that they're having a lot of memory problems.
I smoke a lot of weed.
The timing, because I don't mean to interrupt.
Sorry. So have I, Dennis, and I've been smoking weed ever since I was a teenager. But I can tell you, maybe to some people it makes you stupid, but it's never once caused me to sit here and go and forget. Go and put an ice cube tray in the microwave.
Me either.
Yeah,
and
that's made me do stupid shit
really?
all the time.
See, and I had been
short-term memory is definitely affected.
And I had been smoking since I was like 16, and actually what caused my memory, and I did just recently, I've been sober on everything now for quite some time, but this is just actually because recently, in part of my departure from the P-verse, I developed a seizure condition, which kind of came out of nowhere. Now they have sort of diagnosed me with like more or less like scarring on my temporal lobe, but it was like my first incident also was associated with a high fever, but I've actually had to work on some of my memory. And I do feel like actually my situation was a little bit more alcohol attributed as well, but regardless.
You've never had a head injury?
No, I have. And this is definitely, but like I actually had a grand mal seizure.
It's just it reminded me of what happened with Akira Toriyama, the creator of Dragon Ball, where apparently he hit his head when he was younger, and it apparently came back to bite him in the ass. So, I'm just saying.
Yeah, when I was a kid, I have a scar still because I landed on a sharp entrance to a house, and more or less like I had to have stitches and stuff. But I've had a couple other, and that's what they did determine is that. I had 2 incidences, seizure activity incidences this summer, my first like major. And when they did the scans and such, they were able to determine that my scarring was old. So it had been there for a while and had developed into this more intense situation.
But I wish you all the best. Head injuries are very scary, sir.
Let me tell you something interesting. The reason why dolphins and whales beach a lot is because their temporal lobes are much bigger than ours, since they're more auditory creatures, and all of the sonar and the noise that the ships make, it makes them go crazy, and that's why they beach a lot now. The whales and dolphins, because all that sound, the maritime activities, So yeah.
That's a good question. Would that hypothetically, theoretically make dogs more aggressive, even if their owners aren't like, getting them in dog fights, giving them raw meat and gunpowder for, that stuff, or beating them? Because I do notice that the amount of aggressive dogs that seem to be in city limits have increased compared to the aggressiveness of dogs in outer city limits.
Have you watched the aggressiveness of the
You're going robotic, DK.
Since they suppose 5G, let alone the crap other thing that people were mandated to take, the combination of that shit and the 5G is why so many people are mental. They're actually now able to control them already. And I don't mean completely, but their emotions.
Yeah, that makes
They're
sense.
allowed to suddenly make them angry.
Yeah, I believe that's how V2K
I would
works.
agree. I would agree.
Yeah, V2K I think is real, and also Rand gave an interesting
V2K
thing.
is
Oh,
real.
yeah, like
Yeah, V2K is 100% real.
yeah, Rand gave something interesting. He said this Google patient that says triggered self-assembly of nanoparticles in vivo, and I think this kind of stuff could be predictive programming or like just the direction we're heading. You know what I mean? Like they can like, like we talked about in my
5G
video.
is a military-grade weapon.
Well, and then you're talking
This
about
is
emotions.
actually in papers if you go look it up.
And again, like if you're
is a
talking about that effect and the
military-grade
shutdown of
weapon.
brain activity.
No, serious. We've already got Wi-Fi.
Yeah, he's got a killer delay as well. But yeah,
It's all good.
5G is a military-grade weapon.
Yeah,
Go
sure.
look it up.
Yeah, okay. Let her talk. Yeah, blessings.
No, it's all good. And it like always just, something I've said multiple times, but I mean, anger is going to shut down your frontal lobe as well. So it's the emotions to disease concept back at it again. So like if you're allowing certain emotions to take care over your body, so this 5G technology is not necessarily the issue. It's how it affects you physically or potentially like the frequency and resonance it gives off that affects you, that prevents your brain from functioning at its optimal, like, or your temporal lobe from functioning at its optimal.
Well, the point is that science is very slow and it's based on industry interest. And, like there's a book called Dirty Electricity, and not many people talk about it. Even before 5G, there were like, the resonance and the electromagnetic frequencies, they were negatively impacting people, people near power grids or something like that. And all of that is like letting off, specific magnetic frequencies and stuff. The point is science is slow.
Everything that you're saying is the controlled science that you're being told.
So
that is the other side of what you need to take into account.
Oh boy, I know, but I don't want to throw around a hypothetical. But what happened at the United Nations not long ago? I think that's a little sus.
Right, you say what you want.
Yeah.
Go nuts.
Yeah.
Oh, you don't want to? You just wanted to talk when I started talking. Interesting. Okay, the simple fact is, why at this point would you trust basically anything that comes from science? Like, how retarded do you need to be?
Because it's easy to entertain people. It's easy to entertain people, DK. That's why.
Hold on, DK. You asked a question. Let people answer the question that you asked them. Let them go.
And actually, so the spiritual and resonance side of this, I'm just using science words for you. So, but this has been shown, like tribes have been exhibiting and talking about this kind of healing concept for obviously centuries. So this isn't new. This is just being, and a lot of this stuff is still not even humored in any sort of like general health field right now. And that's my experience. Again, like I would bring this to the neurologist I worked for, and he would say, "Oh yeah, that's odd activity that we're seeing in the alpha waves," but there was nothing to back it up. And what I'm showing you right now is newer information, but again, we're so distracted by what's going on right now. Most people aren't paying attention. Most people scoff. And this is actually well documented. So
let me say
you can do it on yourself. You can test it on yourself.
The simple fact is, this is someone else's channel, so I won't carry on.
Yeah, exactly. Yes, you have to let Buddha respond.
Yeah.
Carry on with that.
Well, let me just say that
No, that's not cool. It's someone else's channel.
Well, there's a pattern where each time they roll out a technology or new technology comes, there's a lag. before they can like tell you their health complications. We saw it with DDT. You know, there are videos.
I can tell you
No,
everything
stop interrupting
about
me.
it.
Stop interrupting me. Stop interrupting me.
That's a good way to describe it, Avian.
Yeah, I'm not
That's
done.
a perfect way to describe it. I've never heard someone call it that.
Yeah, well, anyway, there's a lag between when the people finally find or disclose their health complications. We saw it with DDT. Kids were sprayed with DDT. We saw it with the kind of crap they put in the makeup that women use. Like they put like mercury or other stuff in the makeup women put on before. But anyway, the point is that there's a book called Dirty Electrification and Diseases of Civilization by Samuel Milham. It argues that widespread electrification and the electromagnetic fields and voltage transients it introduces contribute to modern chronic diseases. So,
So is that why in the movie The Prophecy they put the mercury leaking out of the paper mill and making all the creatures, go cuckoo and turning into monstrosities? It's always mercury, ain't it?
Yeah, mercury too, but lead also. Lead actually
Well,
made
it's not just mercury. It's something meth. I'm not even going to try to say the word, but I know it's got the word meth in it.
Yeah, there's a lot, but lead was known to make egos go crazy. Also, lead.
And was it if pregnant women consume fish or whatever that has the toxin in it, it will cause birth defects. Yeah.
There's a kind of like preservative they use on the lining of a lot of canned goods, processed foods. I think that is like BHT or something like that.
Oh, what's wrong? You never wondered why when they went and tested the cans in the nuclear explosions, they said that you can still eat out of the can?
Yeah, there's just
you don't want some irradiated SpaghettiOs.
Yeah, they don't care about the health of the public, the so-called professionals or something. They don't really care. Like they just want more and more growth. You know what I'm saying? Like, which is bad. Like.
Well, I mean, back to the brainwave stuff. I mean, to me, it's interesting. I mean, I don't know. They seem like they're constantly putting in the media like they want us to tear ourselves apart, whether or not they're going to do it with a cough or a turn on the switch and all of our brains start to vibrate to the frequencies of 28 days later. I don't know. They're definitely messing with technologies that they sit here and pretend that they know what they're doing with, like with this artificial intelligence, and in reality they have no clue what the fuck they're messing with. So
I think what we see on the surface is deliberately, fragmentary. The DARPA and what's the shadow of technique. They're doing a lot more devilish things. They keep it more confidential.
Well, they definitely. I would definitely say the motto of they have no no bars held or no whatever. The thing I'm trying to say. No bars held, whatever. Anyway, point is they in the pursuit of whatever the top is, they don't care if it destroys the earth because they claim that they can just go to the red one up there. So I don't know.
Yeah, Rand gave another interesting article. It's from a Google patient. I think it says nervous system manipulation by electromagnetic fields from monitors. So, I actually read an article where they said that even your Wi-Fi can make a map of your house. You know what I mean? Based on
Oh, what's wrong? You don't want Batman? You gave every single cell phone in Gotham a microwave emitter. This is immoral and unethical. Just put in your name. Yeah, we know. But it's considered entertainment for people.
Part of this to me, though, too, is like fear of death and the sort of pushing, the anti-spiritual aspect of this. Because
Who, me?
No. Like these concepts, because it's like not everybody, but a lot of people are scared to die, and then as you disconnect the spiritual end of it, then you're not sure where you're going to go or what's going to happen. When
to a certain level, I see it more for someone like me who's spiritual, who's not really worried about that kind of stuff. It's like, here, let me just put in your face what I'm doing to the masses while you sit here and LARP about it and people make fun of you.
Yeah, distraction again, right? And fear, what does fear do to your brain? It shuts off parts of it.
Well, they do like black and white checkerboards. Where's the chess pieces?
And it's a fun illusion. Well, I appreciate this opportunity to come on because, again, it's been forever, but I need this grounding of TML's channel. So thank you guys. I gotta crash. I got my dad's art gallery to go to tomorrow. So appreciate it.
Yeah, blessings,
Hope you
sis.
guys-
Have a good night.
Yeah,
Thank you for
really
being here.
good to see you. Much love, guys. Good night.
Thank you, Rock Lady.
Seems okay.
You could spend a lifetime studying all the problems made by technological progress. Really. Like
The thing is, I've been talking
I
about
agree.
this and speaking out about it.
As
on
have
the
we all,
previous
DK.
5 years. This is obviously one of the reasons that I keep getting banned. Like, I was doing the CTUHLU stuff back in the fucking day as well. But I was speaking about the 5G and everything else. See, what you don't realize is a combination. See, there's the chemtrails, the food, the water, the word I'm not allowed to say, and the 5G. Combined with all of them, it really does get to screw with you. And what was that? What did you say? The 5K technology? Is it 5K? Is K? Skull to brain shit. Whatever they actually call it. I've been looking into that shit for years and as well. See, I'm one of these people who really has been doing this. This is why all of my YouTube channels are banned. And there's like 3 of them. They're like shadow banned, and you'll never find me unless I actually send you a link. You type in my name, you have to scroll down for like, a minute to find my channel.
Yeah, I think.
For some reason, YouTube allowed everyone else to use my name. Because the YouTube was my first channel. But for some reason, everyone else is now allowed to use my name. Except some of them will be capital D instead of lowercase db. Yes, I made it look like
Yeah, DK. There's a lot of platforms that are like that. PlayStation and Xbox is the same way.
Yeah, so so let me play a little song and then we'll move to we'll move to
honestly
Mumford
in a
and
bad mood because D-Live just banned me today.
yeah, I get it. Yeah, you
I'm
mentioned that like 9
honestly,
times.
I'm in a bad mood because D-Live
Okay,
banned me today.
you just said that twice.
Yeah, but
okay,
I'm
let's.
trying to say that
I'm in a bad mood because I got banned from D-Live today.
Okay, DK, we get it. Okay, yeah. So I gotta move on here. It's gonna be music. Mumford and then ellul, like I was in the middle of saying, right? And that's gonna be the rest of the show. There's another 3-hour component of the show. Usually the show lasts about 6 hours, right? There's another sort of 3-hour component of the show that we recorded before we got cut off. So engage with that, right? It was an introduction to pre-Socratics and a tie-in to our recent material that we did on Tuesday, right? So yeah, there's some of that. Anyways, let me move to some music and we'll be back in a little bit. And also, DK is banned from D-Live. Don't know if you guys heard. But yeah, we'll be right back.
denying, but the world will teach you hate. Give your mind a brand new state. In the garden of your life, here is your fate. Garden of my mind, is your light. Garden of my mind, of the mind. Garden of my mind, in the garden. Garden of my mind, garden of my golden age of life, children of the light, in the garden of your heart and mind. Golden age of life, children of the right time, of the right time. Feeling like there is no tomorrow, leaving me thinking of only sorrow. The world has left me the straight. My mind, what is my fate? It's a place that leaves you filled with so much hate. Garden of my mind, is your light. Garden of my mind, garden of my mind, garden of my mind, in the garden. Garden of my mind, is your light. Garden of my mind, garden of my mind, garden of my
My blood turned to wine, my flesh turned to bread. Y'all souls into a plate, now let the children be fed. So eat, drink and swallow, God's cooking up meat. Think of tomorrow, many that follow were took by the beat. The earthly presidents are evidence our world fell asleep. Through it deceased to the son of Mary turned like a thief. I blow heat at police before turning the other tree. Pardon, it's just human nature beneath the lunar equators. Comets move like lasers, gave the moon its craters. My mind in tune with saviors, in the tomb I'm greater, says whom the creator. But while on earth, I'ma search, write a verse to make the stars burst. World been in trouble since the first day that God birthed. The rappers been in trouble first day my bars work. Inside a heavy mental, my laboratory never been the same. I'm steady with the pencil. The Star Lady Redemption, so beautiful. New redemption. A new beginning. A new beginning. A new beginning. Pain is a beginning. I prophesize, analyze to the world, realize, arise and civilize, here to open up the mind's eye. Deeper than Einstein's, the organized crime tide. FEMA officers, planet swarmers from the blind side. Jacob Dream, he seen all of the Zion tribes of giant size. William Cowdy claimed the 9 arrived around 1455. The gods barely Fort Greene and Bed-Stuy. Lost dreams when the lead fly. Clarence 13 said he'd make the dead rise. Said the schools were created to spread lies. So let's ride. The dude with the black necktie, black suit, black shades and black shoes, black limo with tinted windows. Inside was sitting with endo. Here's a memo, a small hour in the upper right corner of the dollar bill. An obelisk in the front of Capitol Hill. Court builders reveal a Masonic seal. Back of ambulance truck, a satanic shield. UFO sightings, a toxic field. Global heating, secret meetings. That's when the Lord creeps in. Hurricane follow the path of the slave ships. Reveal God's wrath for it's sacred. Now we all gone mad. America's matrix. Face it, I'm on it. Now martyrs, the margin to an author is irrelevant. My skeleton cleave to my skin to the melanin. My melanin to this hell I'm in. I weld this pen so benevolent. My bones cringe from my bones pen. My breath is corrupt, my days are extinct. Fully self-destruct. They weighing my luck for the day I erupt. The grave won't be stuck. The markers watch me for the days that get darker. Them and the whole posse, they want me vexed. The women throw hex, sinning with sex. I'm living with threats, child support. I wish I had your child abort. Knowing that hurts, they laugh at my curse. Like Job, but show compassion in church. My flows make demons tremble, make devils cripple, make this floors ripple. In this wicked house, I don't just talk about it, I live it out. Homeless, hopeless, when I wrote this, oppressed. Now the upright men shall be astounded at this, and the innocence will stir itself up against the hypocrites and the righteous. All shall hold on his way, prolong his days. I spit the song from the grave, and I shall be stronger and stronger, stronger. Yo, y'all be astonished as I spit orange.
drawing on interpretations that have not yet been adequately published. Still less, why?
So he's rolled out this idea of authoritarian and democratic techniques. He's saying that both of them arose, you know, not at the not in successive stages. It's not I mean, we didn't go from authoritarian to democratic, right? But both of these arose in ancient times, right? And they're expressions of the techniques themselves, right? So it's about how we assimilate techniques, right? That gives the expression of either authoritarian or democratic forms of government, right? This is his sort of reformulation of political theory in light of his concept of technics, right?
Widely discussed or rigorously criticized and evaluated. My thesis, to put it bluntly, is that from late Neolithic times in the Near East right down to our own day, two technologies have recurrently existed side by side. One authoritarian, the other democratic. The first system-centered, immensely powerful, but inherently unstable. The other man-centered, relatively weak, but resourceful and durable. If I am right, we are now approaching a point at which, unless we radically alter our present course, our surviving democratic techniques will be completely suppressed or supplanted, so that every residual autonomy will be wiped out, or will be permitted only as a playful device of government, like national balloting for already chosen leaders in totalitarian countries. The data on which this thesis is based are familiar to most of you, but their significance has, I believe, been overlooked. What I would call democratic techniques is the small-scale method of production resting mainly on human skill and animal energy, but always, even when employing machines and extra animal power, remains under the active direction of the craftsman or the farmer, each group developing its own gifts through appropriate arts and social ceremonies, as well as making discreet use of the gifts of nature. This technology had limited horizons of achievement. But
okay, so personal skill relates to the idea of simple tools, right? Tools move at the speed and pace of human movement, as we've described, right? Machines, right? They save on labor, they save on time, they require mass production, right? And of course, this can also be done in terms of using human slavery, right? In terms of the expanded techniques of the state, right? So you could use human labor for cultural projects as well as you can for mechanical projects, right? So that's what he means by the fact that authoritarian and democratic techniques have always existed throughout history, right? Because the mega machine, right, in terms of the same thing that built the pyramids, right? It's always existed, right? It's something that sublimates man instead of expands his horizon, right? And of course, the entire thing is about A, the size and the scope of the undertaking, and B, the use of techniques, right?
just because of its wide diffusion and its modest demands, it had great powers of adaptation and recuperation. Till now, this democratic tactics has underpinned and firmly supported every historic culture and redeemed the constant tendency of authoritarian techniques to misapply its powers. Even when paying tribute to the most oppressive totalitarian regime, there yet remained within the workshop or the farmyard some degree of autonomy, selectivity, creativity. No royal mace, no slave driver's whip, no bureaucratic directive left its imprint on the textiles of Damascus or the pottery of 5th century Athens. If this democratic techniques goes back to the earliest use of tools, authoritarian techniques is a much more recent achievement. It begins around the 4th millennium BC in a new configuration of mechanical.
So scratch that, right? It's not as recent as we'd like it, but it is more recent than the democratic techniques, right? So indeed, it is more recent, right? But it's still way older than we'd suspect. He's saying like 4,000 BC or something like that, right? So that's the stage he's putting for for authoritarian, right, which are much larger in scope, right? They sublimate man in the process of their expansion, right? So yeah. So this is the key element he's going to drive on.
Invention, scientific observation, and centralized political control that gave rise to the peculiar mode of life we may now identify, without eulogy, as civilization. Under the new institution of kingship, activities that had been scattered, diversified, cut to the human measure, were united on a monumental scale into an entirely new kind of theological, technological mass organization. In the person of an absolute ruler, whose word was law, cosmic powers came down to earth, mobilizing and unifying the efforts of thousands of men, hitherto all too autonomous and decentralized, to act voluntarily in unison for purposes that lay beyond the village horizon. The new authoritarian technology was not limited by village custom or human sentiment. Its Herculean feats of mechanical organization rested on ruthless physical coercion, forced labor, and slavery, which brought into existence machines that were capable of exerting thousands of horsepower, centuries before horses were even harnessed or wheels invented. This centralized tactics drew on inventions and scientific discoveries of a high order: the written record, mathematics and astronomy, irrigation and canalization. Above all, it created complex human machines composed of specialized, standardized.
So you have this idea of, the specialization of man, right? But also you have the rise of the city, right? And of all the elements, right? That comprise the city, in the expansion into the authoritarian techniques. And what else do you have? You have an increased centralization, right? And you have a cosmic scope, right? Which we've sort of referred to as universalism, right? So yeah. So all of these are elements, right, that are added to the use of simple tools, the connection with nature, the personal direction of skills under the democratic techniques, right? Which of course that term, I think it's quite an awkward term. I mean, honestly, for many different reasons. The main reason I would suggest is because of the link between technology and liberalism, right? So maybe we could look at it in more, like maybe in terms of conviviality or something like that.
Replaceable, interdependent parts: the work army, the military army, the bureaucracy. These work armies and military armies raised the ceiling of human achievement, the first in mass construction, the second in mass destruction, both on a scale hitherto inconceivable. Despite its constant drive to destruction, this totalitarian tactics was tolerated, perhaps even welcomed, for it created, at least in its home territory, for it created the first economy of controlled abundance, notably immense food crops that not merely supported a big urban population, but released a large trained minority for purely religious, scientific, bureaucratic, or military activity. But the efficiency of the system was impaired by weaknesses that were never overcome until our own day. To begin with, the democratic economy of the agricultural village resisted incorporation into the new authoritarian system. So even the Roman Empire found it expedient, once resistance was broken and taxes were collected, to consent to a large degree of local autonomy in religion and government. Moreover, as long as agriculture absorbed the labor of some 90% of the population, mass techniques were confined largely to the populous urban centers. Since authoritarian technology first took form in an age when metals were scarce and human material captured in war was easily convertible into machines, its directors never bothered to invent inorganic mechanical substitutes. But there were even greater weaknesses. The system had no inner coherence, a break in communication, a missing link in the chain of command, and the great human machines fell apart. Finally, the myths upon which this whole system was based, particularly the essential myth of kingship, were irrational, with their paranoid suspicions and animosities and their paranoid claims to unconditional obedience and absolute power. For all its redoubtable constructive achievements, authoritarian techniques expressed a deep hostility to life. By now you doubtless see the point of this brief historic excursus. That authoritarian techniques has come back today in an immensely magnified and adroitly perfected form. Up to now, following the optimistic premises of 19th century thinkers like Auguste Comte and Herbert Spencer, we have regarded the spread of experimental science.
By the way, last Wednesday, we went on sort of a weird detour, right? We talked about Auguste Comte, his theory about positivism. I sort of looked at a bunch of videos with Sam Altman, and we looked at an interview with Peter Thiel, and we looked at Mark Zuckerberg, a video of his, and different. So we focused on the transhumanists at the end of the show last time, right? We totally skipped over Ellul and Mumford, right? So yeah, we will bring back the Shangzhou on Saturday. So we'll be discussing the Shangzhou on Saturday, in addition to a bunch of other stuff, right? But yeah, I'm gonna move to Ellul here. But yeah, I'm gonna play maybe just one more minute of this, and then we'll move to Ellul.
Science and mechanical invention as the soundest guarantee of a peaceful, productive, above all, democratic society. Many have even comfortably supposed that the revolt against arbitrary political power in the 17th century was causally connected with the Industrial Revolution that accompanied it. But what we have interpreted as the new freedom now turns out to be a much more sophisticated version of the old slavery.
All right. So the reintroduction of the authoritarian techniques with the Industrial Revolution, right? So there we go, and this is a perfect segue to move to Ellul here, right? Okay. And of course, I've somewhat planned that, right? Technique and political doctrines, right? Of course, we're on page 280 here, right? He says the structure of the state is not the only thing modified by technique. Political doctrines are modified too. Okay, so this is a perfect reiteration of what I was just saying, right? With the other or rather what Mumford was saying, right? Right now is expounding on, right? We know, first of all, that the same thing holds for political doctrines as for political structures. That some are adapted to technical usage and some are not. In general, the new doctrines, those, for example, of the people's democracies, which it would be stupid to lump together naively as Stalinists, quote unquote,
are so adopted, quote, no freedom for the enemies of freedom, unquote. Quote, only the worker is the citizen, unquote. Quote, the state guarantees freedom. The stronger the state, the more freedom is guaranteed, unquote. These slogans are representative of an idea which is becoming prevalent. Doctrinal elements coincide exactly with the development of state techniques. Doctrine expresses the social situation exactly and is therefore vital. It is believed in by a large number of citizens. It tends towards effective application and possesses a contagious force. On the other hand, the doctrine of traditional democracy. The rights of man, the abstract conception of a citizen. Equality in voting, the clash between power and liberty, are not adapted to modern social reality. For this reason, we are witnessing the rapid sclerosis and obsolescence of these doctrines. And it is becoming harder and harder to defend them. Public opinion no longer holds with them, except possibly among the Americans, who seem still to believe in individual freedom, a somewhat theoretic concept. But democratic peoples as a whole are more attached to the traditions than to precise doctrine. So let's take a look here. Right? Okay, you have authoritarian techniques that try to maximize freedom for the citizen, right? No freedom for the enemies of freedom, right? Only the worker is a citizen, right? And the state, it maximizes freedom, right? Through power, right? So there's a direct relationship between freedom and state power, and it's only within the state. Now, the abstract idea and the democratic notion, the rights of man, right, and the equality, right, and this notion that power and liberty are related, right? He's saying that that is coming under attack.
Just let me know when I can speak.
Yeah, sure. Just give me like 3 minutes here, right? So so he says but democratic peoples as a whole are more attached to the traditions than to precise doctrines. Democratic doctrines is in any case unadapted to technical progress, a fact which robs it of any compelling force or power to make new conquests. Documents such as the United Nations Declaration of Human Rights mean nothing to a mankind surrounded by techniques. It is our responsibility to study man's situation vis-a-vis techniques and not vis-a-vis some no longer existent force. No one gets worked up about declarations, which may be violated with impunity, whether by private enterprise, as exemplified by the attitude of employers on the subject of strikes in 1948, or by the state itself, as in the case of the law of September 15, 1948, concerning war crimes in direct violation of the Declaration of Rights. Technique has rendered traditional democratic doctrines obsolete. Um, this should be regarded as a normal situation, for no political doctrine is eternal. When situations change, doctrines must change too. Evolution is necessary, whether it takes place under the influence of technique or in some other way. But one fact does remain new. What is in question is not merely a change of doctrine. Political doctrine is being called upon to play a fundamentally different role. In the 19th century, political doctrines were strongly prescriptive and constructive. This was consonant with both the whole idealist and romantic movement. With the belief in progress, men were convinced of the omnipotence of ideas and were prepared to put into action doctrines which appeared to them to be just. doctrinal motives played a role of prime importance in the revolution in 1789. Napoleon I was disgraced because of his lack of doctrine, a deficiency which Napoleon III sought to overcome. Republics and even monarchies were anxious to apply the doctrine that were more just. Political doctrine, whatever its context, established an end to be attained. It represented the best form of government founded in reason rather than in history and in philosophy. Okay, so this is a critical point, right? And obviously, we saw how the philosophy of history sort of invaded the ideas of mainly of German idealism, right? And basically gave birth to this notion of progress in Hegel, right? But it also pointed to this notion of the state, right? So he talked about the notion of idealism growing up with the notion of political doctrines and how this had to be expunged, right? And of course, the main techniques that alter the state are in terms of the police and the military, right? But yeah. But there's other ones as well, right? But yeah, so this is a main point. It says founded in reason rather than in history and in philosophy. The problem was to realize the ideal. Doctrine was criterion of action. It was to judge not so much whether the action was well or ill done as to whether the action was valid in respect to the doctrine itself. Even Marx was of this mind. For him also, doctrine represented the end of criterion of action. Manifestly, doctrine dominated political life. It was no mere conceit, but a reality. With the introduction of technical development into life of the state, the situation becomes completely different. Right? Doctrine is, right, it's going to become secondary, right? So he says doctrine merely is merely explicative and justifying. It no longer represents the end. The end is defined by autonomous operation of technique. It is no longer the criterion of action. The sole criterion of action consists in knowing whether or not the technique has been correctly used. And no political theory can tell us that. All right. That is all we have for today, folks, for this part of the show. Unfortunately, right? There is a longer introduction to this, right? Go look at the part 1, right? Where we talked about the pre-Socratics and, the idea of natural law, right? And how that relates to the scientific understanding of the world and all that type of stuff, right?
Yeah. Well, there's a lot that could be said. Right now I'm reading Russell, and I see a lot of overlap between Russell and ellul, but there's a lot of differences too. And Russell says something interesting here. Luxury impossible to prevent among men who are greedy for their own conveniences and the esteem of others soon completes the evil that societies have begun, and on the pretext of keeping the poor alive, which it was not necessary to do, luxury impoverishes everyone else, and sooner or later depopulates the state. And I was thinking, like how they're automating luxuries now for people, making conveniences greater for people. But, that leads to stuff like chemical runoff. It leads to stuff like nuclear spills. And, I was thinking, now they're doing stuff like, putting fungi into computer chips, organoid intelligence. Maybe something will go haywire, and maybe something like Godzilla might emerge, because I recommend watching Shin Godzilla. It's by the guy who made Evangelion. He directed Shin Godzilla, the guy who made Evangelion. And Shin Godzilla, each Godzilla film is different. The Japanese ones are better, but in Shin Godzilla, it's due to a nuclear spill. And there's like this creature in the ocean, and he grows and he starts metamorphosing. He like goes crazy and destroys the city. You know what I mean? In a way, though, that's like an act of purification from one perspective. You know what I mean? Because the city is cancer. You see what I'm saying? And technique also, we think is neutral, but it has an element of automatism, as ellul talks about, is moving towards complete self-sufficiency, decoupled from human beings now, as you know, AI increases, and maybe we'll have AGI in the future. And who knows, maybe something Earth will do, you know, maybe we'll give rise to something like Godzilla or something, you know, or maybe due to the hubris of people, you know, something like Godzilla.
So I don't mean to cut you off, but like in World War Z, when he's talking to the brown scientist dude, and he says that nature is a biatch, and like, you know, most serial killers, she wants to get caught, so she leaves little breadcrumbs behind, so that way she can get caught. So, I mean, are we saying that, like, what, the Earth will naturally counteract what we humans are doing, whether it's in the, you know, name of, you know, medical science or technological advancement to the stars, that the Earth will somehow combat it herself?
Well, let me tell you this. I'm making my presentation on Godzilla films from the select 3 Godzilla films from Showa era and 5 from Heisei era. You know, Godzilla deals with all of this stuff. You know, the Japanese ones, not the American one. You know, like for example, there's a smog beast, and you know it consumes the smog and factory pollutants, and it grows.
Right.
That one's Hedora. And then you have, like, I don't know, one of my favorite movies is Biollante, where they take the cells of Godzilla and they put it in a flower, but his daughter died from an act of terrorism, so he also takes the cells of his daughter and he puts it in the flower, and that leads to a monstrosity called Biollante. And that deals with stuff like, I don't know, technique and how it profanes the sacred, perverts the sacred. You know, I can show my parts of my presentation now, but because I am done with that part. But there is a kind of some weird overlap between Rosso, I'm noticing, and some Godzilla film. You know, but the early Showa, some of the early Showa film, even the original, the 1954 original, is due to nuclear radiation and how the dinosaur awakens. You know, well, it wasn't really a dinosaur. But,
He was a radiated iguana, I think. Godzilla.
Yeah. He's meant to represent, you know, nature destroying the cities. You know, you will realize how dearly nature makes us pay for the scorn we have shown for its lessons. From Russell.
Yeah,
I mean,
for sure.
You can use the quote for Godzilla also.
I think that's one of the reasons why they've been pushing a lot of kaiju movies too here in the last 10 or so years. They've been pushing a lot of kaiju radiation type movies. So whether or not that's supposed to be a real play on the radiation crises that we've been finding ourselves in, like Fukushima, or not, but you know.
Yeah, that's right. You know, it's true. Well, maybe if history is fake, maybe something like this happened in the past. I don't know. Like, I don't know. It's hard to tell. Like, I don't know if history is fake, but let's see here. Yeah. Anyway, it's interesting though, because that could happen. You know, like we see it a lot. You know, they're using stuff like weather modification technologies. We haven't talked about that much. You know, like HARP. You know, HARP is real, and so I forgot to mention that. I forgot to mention HARP. You know, but yeah, they keep modifying the weather, and maybe that will lead to some crazy shit.
Well, I mean, that's the reason why they make movies like Geostorm and The Day After Tomorrow. So.
Well, it's obvious they're playing with forces that even they cannot control 100%. I think the more they try to control it, the more pressure builds up, and eventually will explode and lead to stuff they cannot imagine. And Godzilla is meant to represent that. You know.
I agree. Go ahead.
Yeah, I'm done talking about it. DK, you wanted to say something, DK? Oh, well, he's quiet. This is the first time DK is quiet. Yeah. Well. Yeah. Well, I might have that on Saturday or the next Saturday. I still have to finish Rossio, though, but there's a lot of interesting stuff. I don't agree with Rossio on everything, but he does have some wisdom, and he's very correct on a lot of stuff. So, yeah, he's a good thinker, I think. So,
yeah, he's a sharp guy for sure.
Yeah.
He's an excellent writer too. You know, he's like great at writing.
DK, are you there?
Yeah, learning. Yeah, I think DK's gone. Yeah, but learning without virtue is a snare. It's a quote by Rousseau.
Yeah, I 100% agree with that. Actually, I would place virtue above learning in general. Virtue is above learning. I would place that. Yeah.
Right.
Because You know, like I said
So,
before, to that one method or something, I said that true knowledge comes from the heart. You know, that's meant to be metaphorical for, you know, whether you believe in Christ or God or Buddha. That's true knowledge. It's above contingent facts. You see what I mean? It's above.
That's what I've always, despite my haters, they can call me stupid and make fun of me and do whatever they want. You know, I'm always going to stand, even if it's not what they believe in truth, you know. That's my creed. That's the LARP I live
I
by.
respect that. You're an easy person to talk to. You know, yeah, we respect that. Dark Lord. You keep changing your name. Dark Lord.
How many times have I said that I reject all organized religions?
Oh, trust me, we know. You've said it many times.
Yeah, so are you following, or do you actually know? No, are you following something, or do you actually have some belief and understanding yourself? Yeah, I'm actually not being smart. I'm not trying to believe. The thing is, I don't know what's true, but I know that following a book and listening to someone tell you what's true probably isn't.
I would 100% agree. What's your point?
My point is, how do you go about finding out what is true?
You're asking the wrong person.
Well, you know, I think it's like there's a kind of non-conceptual knowing, you know, that comes deep within your heart or within the true nature of mind or whatever. You know, for some, Jesus resonates more than for other Buddhas. You know, for others, different things resonate for different people. You know, but it's something that you can't really put into words easily. You know, and you just gravitate towards it. I mean, and you know, I do respect many Christians.
It generally comes down to what was sort of pressured upon you when
Well, you see, the difference from me, DK, since you asked me personally, no, my reason for believing Jesus is because I had an actual spiritual encounter. It wasn't because I was thrown into church every day and beaten with a switch and said, read the book.
Yeah, you know.
Yeah, I don't get me wrong. I've had visitations as well. I personally have had two. This is why I can question everything, because I've actually had visitations. So it's not about following a book. It's about the belief. Because the book's wrong. Everything they say in churches is wrong. And this is for Christian. I mean, shit, it might be for every religion, I don't know. But everything that they say and push on you, the basis of it is correct. But everything they tell you is wrong, and it's because they want to keep you under control. The morality and responsibility. But that's it. Of almost every religion on this is morality and responsibility. But you don't need a building to worship. I know I'm not Christian, as I said. I'm not religious. I have my own beliefs. But I'm just pointing out what everything has been said. It's every damn thing that Western nations have been told is follow this indoctrination. Do this, go to church, but pick which thing you want to worship, but make sure you go there every day and you get that forcibly repeated into you constantly. Why would you want that?
Yes, that's what some would call rituals. I don't do rituals.
That's basically brainwashing. Like, serious. It's basically brainwashing. Especially if you go there and there's, 100 people there and they're all fully into it. As you find yourself going along with it. So that's a brain. Holy crap, there's like a large group of people and you turn up there and they're all saying this. And it's like, you feel if you don't follow, you don't go along. It's like they're going to outcast you. Hey, guess what? They are. Hey, guess what? That's a good thing. Why would you be stuck in any cult?
Well, I mean, I wouldn't know. I've been accused of trying to join the satanic one, so.
Yeah. I didn't try and join them, but one of my exes, she was a goth and had the satanic Bible. Here's something crazy. The very first time I opened the satanic Bible, the first passage I actually saw was, if God created you in his own image, does that not therefore make you a god? I'm not shitting you. First time I ever opened the satanic Bible.
Yeah.
I never
Do what thou wilt.
I never opened it again. No, I'm not shitting you.
I'm not shitting either.
Fucking open it again. Like, no.
Pee pee poo poo.
I was just like so blown away that was the first thing. I never opened that book again. So some of us actually have strength. I could have been misled. I could have been taken down that satanic path because there was a satanic book in my hand. I saw one thing and I was like, alright, I guess I can be a god. Alright, shut the book. It went against everything I believed. I came to everything I believed when I was 19. And I'm not one of those idiots who tailor-made my religion to fit what I do. My beliefs, my religion, say there's still things I need to fix about myself. So don't think I'm an idiot who just actually made up a religion that says I'm allowed to do what I want. I just don't know. I don't like organized religions, but I'm still not perfect either. So keep that in mind. I don't think I'm perfect, but I can definitely speak on things.
Are we at an AA meeting? AAA meeting, whatever it's called. I don't know.
No, AA meetings are crap. Why would you want a coffee and some biscuits?
Because I feel like I'm watching you in a movie scene giving me your sad life story. I'm serious. I agree, DK. I agree. I don't think you really need a religion to stand on good morals and values, but they say the same thing about atheists. So
I'm not an atheist. I believe in God. I believe in God. But how many people on this channel believe in different gods? Already. Like, what are you saying?
I mean, say about it. I mean,
Hey,
yours really.
we've got Muslims, we've got Christians, and we've got me. I don't know what everyone else believes in. What do you say? Which God do you think everyone has to bow down to?
The machine.
Dude, nah, don't be a dick.
I'm not.
Don't be a dick. No, don't be a dick. Don't put him on a fucking pedestal.
No, I'm talking about like the actual machine, not that machine. Okay.
Like, holy crap.
Everybody says that when I show up.
Anyway,
Damn it.
I'm talking about the neural machine.
Holy crap.
You mean, you're saying the machine. No, what you mean is the technocracy that they run the machine.
I mean, that and the literal technology that allows me to make Hollywood-style movies in the comfort of my own home. But yeah.
Technology. See, you aren't paying attention. You're actually too busy trying to prepare your next sentence instead of listening.
Disco Ghost needs a dance break.
As in the fact that the Big Beautiful Bill and the Genius Act basically, basically means that AI cannot be interfered with for the next 10 years. Do you know what AI will be in 10 years? Because holy shit, look what it is now. So everyone is allowed to freely try and move government is allowed to try and restrict it.
I bet you it'll be.
I mean, I wouldn't say that. I wouldn't say that. They are putting restrictions in place, but there's ways around those restrictions.
No, I mean it. Go look it up. See if I'm
I don't need to look it up. I interact with it all the time, DK, and I can tell you there are ways around the restrictions.
You're an idiot.
No, I'm not. I actually use the technology, so whatever.
Not in 10 years' time.
In 10 years' time, the technology will be so real you won't be able to tell the difference. What's your point?
My point is you're full of shit. And you
I'm full of shit. Okay.
realize the danger we're facing. And you want to
I don't understand it, even though I'm psyoping the masses with it. Scream, boy. Oh, jeez. Oh, here we go. I'm a Jew cunt now.
I'm so cool. Like ice cream.
Should actually be worried about
That's okay. Calm down, man. Hey, calm down. What is that? Calm down.
Yeah, nobody can hear us anyways.
I can hear you.
Uh-oh.
The stream is chopping. Yeah, but the stream is chopping in terms of so we're gonna have to dump this stream again. I mean, this is insane. I mean, so this is a twice.
YouTube is having
second time it happened.
technical difficulties.
I can tell you it ain't a coincidence.
Actually,
not a
everything is doing it today. I got banned across
We heard.
live today. Hey.
Yeah, let me Yeah, you got banned at D Live.
You got banned at
you're
D
telling
Live?
me
Yeah,
that-
but what I mean is everything is doing
Wow.
it today. Hey.
So
And
yeah,
I try
so
to
we'll
get people to their
so
own
we'll
platform. Seems
Oh,
really
dear God.
weird that they're all
yeah, all I had is
same
replays. Yeah, all I had is replays anyways, so we'll just end this here and yeah, I'll see you guys on Saturday. All right, so everybody who's here. I mean, no, yeah, thank you guys so much for contributing to my stream.
course.
You know, people can't hear us, but yeah. But yeah, blessings to all you guys. And please feel free to message me anytime. Yeah, DK Avian. I mean,
Yeah,
Denizen.
sorry, TML, if you thought I was being a dick. I said I was angry.
No, it's all good. It's just the technical
Yeah,
difficulties.
no,
We'll have to
I
shut it down.
did say I was angry today because of what D Live did to me.
Right.
So sorry, apologize. to
all good.
everyone. I'm sorry.
It's all good.
I love you, DK.
Yeah. So
I
yeah,
love
Show's
for you.
over anyways. But yeah, anyways, so it's choppy on the YouTube. So yeah, we'll have to end it. So yeah,
Who's
anyways.
this guy? MC Nemesis. He just